Yeah. I don't like that I can't see if it stops recording.
Won't the light go off?
No.
The recording light. Put that backwards.
Can we also record on
There we
our
go.
on the computer or no?
I don't know.
Yeah, can you do both?
I guess we could try. Hey guys, we're live.
Oh, hi.
There's absolutely no sound.
No sound. I've got it all the way up and nothing's coming out. Huh. And everyone else is saying this one. Okay, cool. Cool.
Okay, here, we're gonna do this. They're not gonna get us on the mics. We'll be recording through the mics.
Well, now you could flip it around. Or just at least bring it closer to yourself.
Can you guys hear us now?
Yeah, let us know.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry if it's not loud enough.
It should be. If we were all the way on the couch,
It's
it should be
good.
fine.
Huh.
My thing is, I want to be able to see what people are saying, so I'm going to bring it up. Yeah, where's the...
Okay, cool.
Okay, here, we're gonna do this. They're not gonna get us on
Where do you want that?
in front of me. We'll be recording through the mics.
Well, now you could flip it around.
Do I have to log
Just at
in
least
to
bring it
see
closer to
comments?
yourself.
Can you guys hear us now?
To be in YouTube.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Wait, where are we hearing that from?
Okay.
Where's
I'm
it?
sorry if it's not loud enough.
It's
It should be. If we were all the way on the couch. Thanks, babe.
All right, now can you hear us though? You muted me.
Sorry, Megan. Is that your phone?
Yeah, because she,
Okay.
it hasn't caught up to can you hear us?
Yeah.
Jeez, seriously?
I'm telling you, the internet here is very not great.
Well, and YouTube just has a really big lag.
Yeah.
Ooh, is it okay that I'm on the Peters family watching this just to see comments?
I don't care. Okay.
You go, can you hear us though? And then it went dead silent. Yep, you can hear.
Okay. Sarah, O'Malley, say something. I'm saying something right now.
It's like you're just now sitting down. That's so far behind. It's like a Facebook Live.
I mean, it is what it is.
Okay.
That's true. I can drink this.
It's not bad.
Can
It
I
just
try
tastes
it?
like
What kind of
tea.
milk did you do?
Just regular.
Regular.
Just tastes like
Regular.
I'm like not
Yeah,
the
it's just a
shots.
thicker tea.
How
Oh
can
yeah,
we-
it tastes like tea.
I don't know. Use it.
Scoot-
Yeah.
Scooch-
Together more.
Scooch towards me.
She can sit on my chair.
I just
More
don't want the
milk.
point of the
Chair.
table in my gut.
Sorry. Do you need me to go more? Oh, almost took out my finger.
I mean, that's better. That's a lot better, actually.
I don't want to accidentally drink.
You better not.
Okay.
we're for sure recording.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's showing that we're talking, so.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, here's the live chat. Okay, now that I've got that up. Is everybody ready?
I'm kind of nervous. Like a good kind of like the good kind of
It's
anxious.
genuinely been a very long time since
I
we've
know.
recorded.
Yeah, but this is good stuff. Gorge.
I hate that my Google Maps, my Google Docs is like, you're signed into this account. It's like, yeah, I know. I want to be signed into that. Like, is it okay? Stop asking me. Sorry.
Okay.
Where'd Kelly go?
Mm-hmm. Okay. We starting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello and welcome to episode 124 of Swish and Flick, the first chapter of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I'm Tiffany.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm Megan.
I'm Katie.
And allegedly I'm Sarah with not a voice, so I apologize.
So we don't even know if you're actually Sarah because you don't even sound like
Yeah,
Sarah.
I could just be the new Ravenclaw host.
I bet your
The new
Florence would be
Ravenclaw.
really good right
Of
now.
2020.
I don't know if I could even do Florence.
It would probably hurt.
Can
so
you try?
I don't Florence
all
doesn't,
right.
Florence
Let
doesn't
her-
do well. We'll see. She might come out in this episode. She
might
doesn't
come.
do well
I feel like it's
when
been a
she's on the
while.
spot. I was just thinking
been a
about it.
minute.
It's been a long time
It
since
has.
Florence has come around. Maybe she's mad at me. Or maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know.
Okay. So this episode is sponsored by Kara Morrison. Thank you, Kara.
Thank you.
So like I said, today we will be discussing Chapter 1 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Dudley. So make sure that you have read the chapter and you're ready to amble your way through the details. And before we begin, Mixed Mouse Tales. Nope,
Or
Sarah.
I just want to ask, since we're starting a new book, before we go into the weekly prophet,
Sure.
what is like one thing you're really excited about talking about with this book?
Ooh.
Honestly,
I'll say that I'm excited to just read it again because I've said it 100 times. I've made it through 1 through 3, halfway through 4, and then I have not gotten to 5, 6, 7 in years. I don't even know. So it's kind of like reading it for the first time again.
Okay,
That's cool.
Megan.
I like that.
I'm excited to just like trash talk Umbridge.
Literally,
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, I'm ready to gang up on someone.
Yeah.
My friend. No.
Yeah.
Maybe Umbridge. I'm excited to work through this book knowing what we know from 7, and I'm
Yeah.
excited for the connections that we're going to make and
Mhm.
the lines drawn there. I'm like, Charlie and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Carol, and I'm gonna show everybody the lines, and you
Yeah.
guys don't know what I'm talking about.
I've
but
seen pictures.
other people
No, but I know what you
do.
I'm honestly really excited to talk about like Harry and honestly his mental health, because I think that's a
Yeah.
huge thing that when I was a kid I glossed over because I didn't know really what it was about and all of those things. So that's something I'm really excited to talk about.
You don't really look at it from the perspective that we have now. Whenever you were reading it for the first time as a 14, well, probably
Well,
less than that.
and even like
12,
there's not a
13.
lot of people that like do what we do where we're literally like, let's break down this chapter and talk about it like so in depth.
Right.
That I think that some people just not saying that's a bad thing, but some people just don't think about it, which is true. Like if I wasn't breaking this down, I wouldn't really think about, all of this stuff. Like he's literally battling PTSD right now, and then like none of his friends are talking to him. That's got to be very
Right.
isolating. So I'm excited to talk about sad things.
Well, especially in this chapter.
Is that surprising?
Sad
Not at
moments
all.
with Sarah.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
It's my life.
Well, yes.
Okay, now we can do,
All right.
You can do the do.
Makes you. My name's Megan.
So, I have a couple this week. As you guys know from the episode that me and Katie did, I wanted to kind of try to change up our weekly prophet a little bit and highlight some Etsy shops where the owners are either really good allies of the LGBTQ community or they're members of the LGBTQ community. So first up is our listener, Jennifer Adams. She has an Etsy shop and she creates these, she creates decals is mostly what is on there. So like,
Stickers and stuff.
yeah, like stickers and stuff for your car or for your electronics or
Computer
whatever.
something.
But she also creates these really cute little like scavenger hunts for the theme parks. Like she gave us the one for Universal Studios, which we still have not had time to do, but I
that's the
still have
same
it.
Person.
Yes, but I still have it like in my little go bag for Florida.
Yeah.
Nice.
So next time we're there, we're gonna have to do it. But her Etsy shop is called Pop Menagerie, POPMENAGERIE on Etsy, so you can check
Nice.
her out. And I also wanted to highlight a little corner of mine in Katie's Etsy shop, Akio Designs. My mom, who is clearly an ally of the LGBTQ community because she's my mom. She makes scarves and blankets for the houses, and she also does a Newt Scamander one, like the gray and yellow for the older Hufflepuff colors. I don't know if it's necessarily Hufflepuff colors, but you know, whatever. Newt.
I like it better actually.
Yeah. So, Akio Designs, scarves, blankets, handmade from Mama Petrus.
They're very nice. I have a blanket from her.
I too have a blanket.
She uses super soft yarn, like the baby yarn. I love it. Also, I really quickly wanted to touch on the movie Little Women because our girl Emma plays Meg in Little Women. And,
It'll be alright.
So,
Don't worry
there's
about
some
it.
O'Malley interference.
Hey, how are you?
Jesus.
honestly, we might not even be able to hear it, but whatever. Because we're like using our mics, but
It is what it is.
yeah. So I wanted to talk about Little Women. Did anybody else here see it besides me and Katie? Have you?
I don't really go to movies.
So
I thought about it, but I was like, gosh, it's like 2 hours out of my day, and I wasn't feeling great then.
well,
So I
I
would say the day after Christmas, but I didn't.
will say that I highly recommend going to see it. It's
Yeah, that's
very
what a lot of
good.
people are
Emma
saying.
does a really good job. Emma does a really good job, and so does Saoirse Ronan, who plays Jo. But
You would
you would definitely.
I don't know who
her.
anybody is.
You would
but
know her
really.
if you saw her face, but I highly recommend going to see it. It's really good, and Emma's in it, and she's awesome, and she's an ally of the LGBTQ community, and she's great.
I think
So.
Saoirse's a new girl crush for me.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one in the preview that's like,
Doesn't want to get married.
She plays Jo, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's the writer.
Yeah.
got it.
Got it.
Check. I got it. I got it. Understood.
And then, but definitely not least, we wanted to announce a new fundraiser that we were going to be starting through Swish. Katie and I, as you guys know from June during Pride Month, we created an entire Pride line of merch, and all of the proceeds from the merch went to, where did they go to again?
Listen.
Glisten, that's
Thank
right.
you.
So,
I kept wanting to say glad, which is also a
it's
great.
also a good one, but yeah.
True.
So in light of recent events in the community, we really wanted to do something that helps the trans community, and we decided to make an extension of our Pride line and do a trans Pride line. It will be the lightning bolt with the colors for the trans Pride flag, and then we also have another cute little design that we're going to be working on, and it's going to be launching next weekend. But we're going to basically sponsor somebody from our community who needs help with the financial burdens and costs of top surgery or bottom surgery, or just like the hormonal medical things that you may want to or choose to do as being a member of the trans community. So the first person that we're going to be sponsoring is Kyra, who is the brother to our listener Kat Tomachek. I'm sorry if I said your last name wrong. I think it's Tomachek.
We don't say anything correctly. So.
We never say anything correctly. But so starting next weekend, we're going to be launching the Pride line, the Trans Pride line, and 100% of the proceeds are going to be donated to Kyra so that he can get his top surgery done.
Perfect.
I'm so excited about that because you Swishers always get right behind us with so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then once we complete that funding, we will move on to another person. And what we would really love for you guys to do, if you're a member of the trans community and you need help financially with any of those like medical expenses that go along with being transgender, send us your story basically in an email to swishflickcast@gmail.com, and we're just going to choose someone after we hit our funding goal for that person, we'll move on to somebody else, and we'll just keep going with the Pride line. And I'm sure that we'll add things to it like as time goes on, so that we can have more options for you guys to get.
Yeah,
Is
for
the
sure.
other design the thing that I thought?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we just want to help out any way we can. And
Yeah.
obviously we are, we're all allies here, so whatever we can do.
Kira is how you say it. I'm sorry.
Kira.
Kira.
Got it. That's a cool name.
It is. But there we go.
Tiffany.
I needed to surprise you.
I'd also like to say that you didn't recap the last episode, which I would like to say in all 124 episodes is the best one.
What was it?
I just want
You and I talking. It's literally the one that I said the title was Sarah can't stop talking or something, or she talks forever.
That's true.
It was a very long episode.
It was really long.
Guys, I just want book. Okay. Last book.
The length I talked, it was enough for a book.
It was.
All right, recap. This cup was on fire.
I'm so proud of you.
Fourth year, Quidditch World Cup.
Crop.
Because the next word goes crumb. Hot Cup of Fire, Tri-Wizard Tournament. Harry mysteriously gets entered against his will. There's 3 tasks, a Yule Ball. There's a Death Eater at Hogwarts. Lots of anxiety. SBEW. Ron's a butt, but then he's cool again.
Oh, Lord.
Dragons, mermaids, big giant maze. Maze leads to graveyard. Super unnecessary. Avada Kedavra. Voldemort's back. Moody is Judy. And this is perhaps the most traumatic year to date for poor Harry.
That was my favorite
Just wait.
recap you've ever done.
Thank you.
Ever.
So
Forever,
Ever.
All right. So Harry is back. I don't know why I'm laughing because this is not funny. So Harry's back,
Because you're really
and
sad.
he's sadder than ever.
As
He's
you
trying
laugh.
to gather any information he can, but his aunt and uncle prove to make that difficult because, they're them. He heads to the playground and is alone on the swings when he hears and then kind of sees Dudley's gang from a distance, and he somewhat hopes that they come over him so they can have a go. So he watches as they walk out of sight, and then he gets up and he starts to walk home, and he waits to interact with Dudley until his little mates leave. They're having some words when suddenly they are attacked by a Dementor, and Harry has to use magic, obviously, to get rid of it. Dudley is not doing too great, and then Mrs. Figg is there. And then, she seems to know about the Dementors, and she wants to go McNuggets Fletcher. I don't think she's the only one.
Word. I'm sure there's many people around the wizarding world that would really like to see him just peace out. In the most not nice way possible, probably.
Yeah.
He's pretty annoying.
He's like a slimy guy.
I really don't like him.
I wouldn't even call him slimy. He's like a sketch dude.
Sketch.
A sketch dude. He's a sketch dude. You know what it makes me think of is Doodle Bob.
Yes, I was just thinking that.
Hoy,
What
hoy.
is Doodle Bob?
Get out.
Is it
Doodle
SpongeBob?
Oh my goodness. All right.
I shall enlighten you, Meg.
Yes. You make me sick.
I'm sorry.
So it's the hottest day of the summer on Privet Drive, and we find out there's a drought. So the normally shining perfect street is pretty much covered in dust, and Harry's the only person who's outside enduring the heat, and he's laying in a flower bed, which I kind of like. That's like a perfect spot to lay. The ground is cool, and I bet it was feeling really good.
Well,
I give him props for doing that because I could never just lay in the dirt.
Seriously? You can never do. If you are so okay, how hot we were waiting for Hagrid's ride, you wouldn't have laid in the dirt to cool down?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I would.
I'm pretty sure I sat in the dirt.
Yeah, we totally sat.
No, because I'm so sweaty, it's gonna stick to me.
Yeah, but it's gonna feel so good.
No.
I'm gonna wash off later.
That's what showers are
I'll
for.
go in the bathroom and splash water all over me.
We didn't have a bathroom. That's why Sarah and I had to run down the street in Hogsmeade. So we wouldn't
Hogsmeade.
beat our
We ran
pants.
down in Hogsmeade.
If we wouldn't have gone to the bathroom, things would have happened on that ride.
Yeah.
Wet seats,
For sure.
for sure.
Okay. So we get a little Harry recap, as we always do. So Harry is a skinny, black-haired, bespectacled boy who had a pinched, slightly unhealthy look of someone who had grown a lot in a short space of time. Hello, Grosspurt. So he's wearing torn and dirty jeans, probably a hand-me-down from Dudley, and his t-shirt was baggy and faded, and the soles of his tennis shoes were peeling back. You guys, I have such beef with this. I said, it's bananas to me that Harry is in this kind of state. The Dursleys must really, really hate him to let him go about looking like this when they all know where he lives.
They probably just don't care.
But
they
they
don't
are
care enough to do
so,
anything
But they're
about it.
so involved.
they're
Like,
so about their appearance.
Right.
They must really hate him to let him do this, to have that reflect onto them. Everybody knows what street he lives on, especially this summer because he's walking around all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, though, I mean, like, that's basically confirmed in this chapter whenever Vernon is like, we're done, get out.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Is
at
that
all.
this chapter? That might be
It's the
chapter
next
two.
chapter.
Okay, sorry.
It's the next one where he's
Jumping ahead.
like, you have to leave. Fozzie's crying in his sleep. So I was like, oh, there's a drought. And then I was like, but was there a drought? There was.
How very Sarah of you.
So in
Did you look it up? How funny.
I did. So in 1995, the UK and Ireland had a heat wave that went through, and it was a severe weather event. This was quote from a website I'll tell you in a second. And it was between late July and late August, and it's part of the warmest summers recorded in UK.
Wow.
And one of the warmest Augusts that was ever recorded in many locations around the UK. And it was one of the driest summers ever recorded in the UK. So
I like that
that
it's
was
saying that it was reaching over 30 degrees Celsius, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit in some
which
locations.
is like,
For us, like, it's so
for
weird to hear,
us,
like,
yeah.
other climates.
yeah,
We're like, okay, like, that's hot.
that's
but, like,
hot, but we've had hotter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again,
like, dying.
they're more
Right.
north than us, I believe, so
Right.
makes sense.
So it also had an exceptionally low rainfall throughout the summer, and we do read about how everybody usually has like their lawn
Watered.
watered and stuff, and everybody's it's like all brown and stuff. So I did have a link posted from the European Drought Center, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. There's a lot of sciencey pictures and things on there, so knock your socks off, friends. So Harry is now hiding under the hydrangea bush, and that's the only way that someone would be able to see him is if they like popped out the window and looked directly down. And he's laying there for a very specific reason. But I was like, "Oh, what's a hydrangea bush?" Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me click no thank you.
It's a bush of hydrangeas.
It's a shrub, a shrubbery.
A shrubbery?
We want a shrubbery. So it needs full sun and part sun exposure, so you could do either or. Can take any type of soil, and it blooms in the summer and fall. You could have, get ready, blue, green, pink, purple, red, and white colored hydrangeas. You're welcome, everyone.
Hydrangeas are beautiful.
They are very pretty.
Yes.
I enjoy them as well.
So Harry thinks that this spot was perfect because of the alternative, and here's a quote from the book. On the whole, Harry thought he was to be congratulated on his idea of hiding here. He was not perhaps very comfortable lying in the hot, hard earth. It's probably cooler than the alternative. But on the other hand, nobody was glaring at him, grinding their teeth so loudly that he could not hear the news, or shooting nasty questions at him, as had happened every time he had tried sitting down in the living room and watching television with his aunt and uncle. Because he's doing something specific with the news. So, just as Harry's thinking these things, Vernon starts going off saying that he's happy Harry stopped trying to butt in basically where he doesn't belong, and he's laughing at the fact that Harry's like saying that he's only trying to watch the news, and he's like, he doesn't need to watch our news. You know what I mean? But little does he know, right?
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah,
know.
what? Sirius Black was on their news.
True.
Truth.
I don't know why he doesn't think that, though, because he knows that Sirius is Harry's godfather.
Yeah.
And he was on your news.
He probably forgot about it. Even
He
if he
doesn't-
didn't,
yeah.
conveniently it was like, I don't
Yeah.
know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
And, like, is he really going to remember anything about Harry besides the fact that he's a wizard and they don't like him?
She's just such a bad person.
I know.
Such a bad person. Mrs. Figg, shout out to Figg.
Hey, girl.
What's up? She makes her appearance, and she's been asking Harry to come over for tea whenever she sees him. Yeah.
So Lisa in the chat said, do we think that there's symbolism with the hydrangeas because they need a lot of water and Harry needs a lot of emotional care right now? The hydrangeas aren't getting the water they need because of the drought.
I like
Lisa.
that.
And Harry has like a pretty big drought in his life right now.
He does.
Yeah.
A drought of friends.
You know, if you think about like the way that Dumbledore, I don't want to say treats it, but how he has everyone like not really talk to him, like he doesn't handle, like he didn't handle things well like himself, so he doesn't know how to handle this with him. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, as much as I love Dumbledore, he obviously makes a lot of errors.
He said errs of his way.
Errors, yeah. So, and then we get to find out what Dudley's been up to. Are you so excited?
Oh my gosh.
All right. So his parents believe that he's been going out with his little friends. Daughters, little Diddykins. Okay. Quote, Harry repressed a snort with difficulty. The Dursleys really were astonishingly stupid about their son. As, I hate to say it, a lot of parents are. Probably including myself. They had swallowed all of Dudley's dim-witted lies about having tea with a different member of his gang every night of the summer holidays. Harry knew perfectly well that Dudley had not been to tea anywhere. He and his gang had spent every evening vandalizing the play park, smoking on the street corners, and throwing stones at passing cars and children. Harry had seen them at it during his evening walks around Little Winching. He had spent most of the holidays wandering the streets, scavenging newspapers from bins all along the way.
I can't believe they're smoking.
And throwing rocks! Why are you throwing rocks at people?
Oh, it's crazy.
Lame.
That's how people get killed.
True is true.
Literally. Or get damaged, like, because people throw things off overpasses, and then they literally kill / maim people for life.
It's awful.
Yeah, don't do that.
Dudley, you should be grounded. So, and just then at 7 o'clock, the news came on, and Harry's stomach turned. So, every single day he listens to the news, and he's waiting because it's been a month of waiting, and he's waiting to hear about Voldemort making some kind of move, listening for anything suspicious, disappearances, murders, what have you. So the top story tonight was that there was a baggage handler strike, and that let Harry know that there wouldn't be any news, because it surely would be the leading story, so he could now kind of relax. It says, quote, every day this summer had been the same. The tension, the expectation, the temporary relief, and then the mounting tension again. And always growing more insistent all the time. The question of why nothing had happened yet. He kept listening just in case there was some small clue, not recognized for what it really was by Muggles, an unexplained disappearance perhaps, or some strange accident. And it says at last the news reached a story about a water skiing, and I don't know how to say this, budgerigars?
Budgeriggers?
I don't know. So I looked it up.
I
was
don't know
like,
what it was either.
what is this? Well, it's a long-tailed seed-eating parrot,
What?
usually nicknamed the budgie, or in American English, a parakeet.
Oh,
Okay, so it's a parakeet.
got it.
And it was water skiing, so I need you to picture that because that's really cute.
Do you guys remember the water skiing squirrel?
Yes. Yes,
I think her name was Tweety.
Are you
Tweety.
serious? Yeah. So then Harry rolls over on his hands and knees, and he's getting ready to get up, and then something happens, as it always does in Potter. He hears a loud crack, and it broke the silence of the quiet street. A cat streaked out from under a car. I said, McGee? It's not. A shriek, a bellow, the breaking of china coming from the Dursleys, and then Harry instinctively, jumps to his feet, and all the while, pulling his wand from his waistband. But he collides with the Dursleys' open window, and the sound made Aunt Petunia shriek again, even louder. And just, have you ever hit your head like this?
Yes.
I don't think I have.
It makes me sick.
Yeah.
So, and I said, and much like Harry will always feel from this point on, he felt like his head was been split in two. His eyes were streaming, he's swaying, and he's attempting to focus on the street where the noise came from. And then, I didn't register this, I don't know, the first time I read it, in Homer Simpson fashion, 2 purple hands close around Harry's throat.
Yeah.
Did you
I didn't
remember
even,
that?
I didn't even notice that reading it this time.
His throat, and all I could think of was Homer Simpson and Bart,
Yeah, but like,
closed around his throat. That's you gotta be real serious to put your hands on somebody's throat.
That's
Yeah.
a very intimate way to hurt /
yeah.
kill someone. It takes a lot of power.
You're like a real
and
Debbie,
intent.
right?
I'm just saying. I've thought, not that I've thought about this, but like when hearing, when like hearing like
let me
of a
preface.
situation where someone does that, like that makes me say, like,
It's
'cause you have to
personal.
it's so personal. You're very close.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
around his throat, I was like, dude, that's a little excessive. Especially for you yelling.
And
or
realistically,
something.
like
get-
you should know, like he should know that Harry's way more dangerous. Like he could just
Yeah. Well,
bye.
well, also you're so worried about what your neighbors think. What if they look out the window and see you grabbing your nephew by
Yeah.
his neck through
Right,
the window?
right. Well, and you let
Well,
him walk
because
around.
They've
you know?
set up the neighborhood to think that he's a delinquent.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, like, oh god, that kid's trouble. He's getting what he deserves. You know what I mean?
It's terrible.
That is terrible.
So Harry jumped up and like had his wand out immediately because he heard this noise and he immediately thought of apparition. So Uncle Vernon is snarling at Harry to put his wand away, and Harry's so upset about being gripped like that, like because Harry's focusing on the fact that somebody magical was in the street and he's trying to figure it out, and Uncle Vernon is hindering that by, yelling at him and like choking him.
Mm-hmm.
So like an electric shock went through Harry and it made Uncle Vernon let go of him.
Like lightning.
Like
Probably.
lightning.
Probably like when you have
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
when you
Static.
and you act, like
And it hurts.
you either accidentally touch someone or you just zap them.
So
Yeah,
like Family
it
Guy,
does
he like
hurt.
rubs his feet on the carpet and goes.
Yeah.
So Harry could not see any sign of anyone apparating from the noise, and Vernon is playing it off like a car backfiring to the neighbors that are glaring outside the window like, what is going on? Though I don't really understand, like, he probably just assumes that they're glaring at him, but like in reality, like,
I would be at the window if I heard
if
something.
I heard
loud,
that, I would be
yeah.
looking out the window. Like,
Mhm.
it's just like they always think that it's always about them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
Says a
mean?
lot about
Very
them.
self-centered.
Yes.
Yes.
So Vernon and Harry are arguing about the fact that he didn't make the noise, and then it turns into, well, why were you lurking under our window? And Harry tells them again that he was listening to the news, and they don't believe him. And I just love Sassy Harry's line where he goes, well, it changes every day, you see.
I love it.
I know.
Like,
Get
that is
'em.
so deserved.
Get 'em.
It was great. So Aunt Petunia calls him a nasty little liar about telling them that they don't know what's going on.
I can't stand her.
She then asks what all the owls are doing if they aren't bringing him the news. And Sassy Harry strikes again. And Vernon says, we're not stupid, you know. And Harry goes, well, that's news to me. And as he knows that he's in trouble as soon as
Yep.
the words leave his mouth.
Yep.
So he quickly, like, hurries out from, away from Vernon's grasp and is just, like, walking.
Yep. He pieces out, which
yeah, he's just
rightfully
like,
so.
Peace. Yes.
I just want to point because other people are pointing it out with Harry having that reaction to the noise is like a very PTSD thing.
True.
Yes.
Thing to do.
Right.
Which I mean, there's no way he doesn't have PTSD with
No.
everything that he's gone
Well,
through.
and like the way that she's talking about like all of these things that go through Harry's head, like it's very clearly anxiety.
yes,
Like he hears that noise and immediately all of these things go through his brain like, well, what if it's XYZ? Like it could be this, could be that, who knows what's going on? And like that is very clearly anxiety, which is a result of PTSD.
yeah, and like with him, with what Tiffany read about, like every day he's like it starts off the same, where like it's all that tension building, like that's like
Yeah.
And
literally
as
like
soon
I
as
can
it's
feel like if
over-
I can feel his anxiety, like
Yeah.
get it.
Just like waiting for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Harry, as he is walking, is still thinking about that cracking noise. He was sure that it had been made by someone apparating or disapparating, which means someone magical had been near him. And then he was like, was it Dobby? That's the sound that it made whenever Dobby disapparated.
Yep.
And he's taken this walk many times this summer because he has been super frustrated about the lack of communication between his friends and between Sirius and any of the adults that are in his life that are a part of the magical world. So he was just like, and then he's thinking in his head, he's like, maybe I'm just so desperate for any contact that I imagined the sound. Like, maybe it really didn't happen. Even though, like, we know it clearly did because many other people reacted to it, but in his mind, it's the anxiety again.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, maybe I didn't even hear it. And it's like, no, you did. Like, it's okay. But it's just
it's
anxiety.
like you talk yourself out of it.
Right.
It's like, that can, it's like this.
Yeah.
I literally am like, I get it. Like,
Right. I've felt what he's feeling. I know exactly. Like, you like, get something in your mind and you're like, well, what if, you know, like, this happened, or maybe it was this, or maybe it was this.
You make up
You know what?
scenarios.
Nothing happened. Like, why am I thinking about this?
Do you know what I
stop.
do? And that's a form of what I have with anxiety is like if I'm anxious about going into something, I make up different things that could happen, and I literally sometimes have to physically like shake myself and be like, none of those things happen, and most of them are completely outlandish, and why would they happen?
Right.
yeah, I do that as well.
It's
Anxiety.
Yeah.
It just
I hate it, dude.
Well, and really, I had someone tell me once, her daughter had either read something or like had listened to something, and it said like, you're like the anxiety is coming from like you thinking of what's going to happen. It's not, you're not really anxious about like whatever. It's like the thought of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Right.
that's like exact. I'm like, yeah. Like she said, I'm like, yes, yeah. Like I'm thinking of like he's saying, you know, it could be this could be like A, B, C, D, whatever. And you know, it really could be none of them. You don't know.
Right.
But like you go into it being like, trying to like almost soothe yourself and be like, this is how it's gonna be. But really, you have no idea when you're walking into a situation.
Right.
And then you pick one of those things and you're convinced that that is what happened. And then all you do is just like stew on it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hold on, I don't even know if this is what happened. Why am I thinking about it so much? Yeah. So, Harry, you know, Aunt Petunia mentioned the owls coming all the time. And Harry was getting the Daily Prophet every morning at 5 a.m. He would set an alarm so that he could pay the owl that would bring the Daily Prophet. And he said, when the idiots who ran the Prophet realized that Voldemort was back, it would be on the front page. So lately he hadn't even been opening the papers. He'd just been taking it from the owl, looking at the front page, and throwing it aside because there's nothing there.
Well, and we find out later, I believe,
That they were hiding it inside.
well, they were putting things inside, especially about Harry.
Yeah.
Because doesn't Hermione, as this is chapters in, say
She like has them at
say
Grandma.
something like, "Haven't you been reading the paper?" And he's like, "Well, look at the front cover," and she's like, "Open it up."
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to
Look
start.
at all of these.
I go back to work on Monday. Sad tweet. And so I'll start listening to the book again rather than just like reading it, because I think I'm gonna listen to it a couple more times this year. I think.
I probably will too.
And then I'm gonna move on to 6 and 7 again because, I'm gonna do that in between Star Wars books because I want to be able to make those connections.
Yeah.
Now.
Right.
Yeah.
So we learned that Harry had been getting letters all summer from Ron, Hermione, and Sirius, but none of them contained any news at all. They would say things like, we can't say much about you-know-what, obviously. We've been told not to say anything important in case our letters go astray. We're quite busy, but I can't give you details here. There's a fair amount going on. We'll tell you everything when we see you. And Harry's like, but when am I going to see them? Nobody seems keen on giving me a date. Like, they'll just say, I expect it'll be soon. So we know that they are forming the Order of the Phoenix right now. Harry doesn't know that. It's already formed. They're, like, working, right? How much time she was with the Weasleys and everything. And one person, and I think that this was on, like, Quora or Reddit, but they were just, like, discussing how, like, when they think Hermione got there and, like, what was going through her mind. And a lot of them said things like, well, it's probably more difficult for her to get the news when she's with her parents because she has to rely on just the Daily Prophet. And her being with the Order of the Phoenix, like with Ron at Grimmauld Place, they may not be allowed into the conversations, but like, as we know, like they have the extendable ears, people talk, they hear things like through the grapevine. So like, she felt safer being around people who she could get more news from. So that's why she decided to like be there more than with her parents. And potentially her being with her parents could put them in danger.
Yeah.
So I think that she had to find this happy medium of like, obviously I want to see my parents, but I also really need to keep up to date on the news that's going on. So
That's
she
kind
was
of how I think
probably,
about it.
yeah, she was probably there for a lot of the summer.
I would agree. Well, they've only been really out a month. It's like, because
Right.
it was the end of June when they finally got home. And I don't think, it's not his birthday yet, correct?
No.
So, in my mind, she might have spent maybe a week or two. Because, like you're saying.
No, it is, because they sent him honeydukes and he threw it away.
Oh yeah. It's
Okay,
So it's just
So he's been a
after.
month.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Why would you throw that away?
Because he was
He
angry
regretted
at them.
He regretted it.
but like, I think that she spent some time, but she's worried about her parents being in the middle of it.
Mhm.
And maybe she doesn't want them to know. Because then they would
Everything.
probably be like, you're not going back to school.
Yeah, and I bet you she wants to keep them as in the dark as possible
Yeah.
so that, like, if they get questioned, they don't really know much.
Yeah.
But she does admit in Deathly Hallows that, like, they know more than she wishes they did, which is why she felt she had to
I wonder if there's like,
erase their memory.
I wonder if there's like some kind of communication, like between Hogwarts and Muggle parents. That's like specific for them,
Possibly. I would think that
like
there
a
has to
newsletter or something.
be. Because, like, think about, like, I mean, these kids start going there when they're 11, so, like, that's still grade school in
Right.
our system. And, like, you send newsletters all the time with kids, even in grade school, you know. And, like,
Yeah,
even
I've
high
seen
school, we
some
would
things.
get some. Like,
But-
not as much, because it's more, like, they put it on you as your responsibility. But, like, there's some stuff that goes to the parents.
But, like, did they tell everyone, like, what was happening at school? Probably not.
They're like, hey, there was like a basement thing that opened. There was an animal in there. Everything's fine.
Like, can you imagine being, like a Muggle parent being like, oh, my God, what is going on?
No, I can't imagine.
Stress
Too, like, what if they just don't understand? So, like, they don't tell them.
True.
I don't know.
That's, well.
Yeah.
Okay, so he guessed Ron and Hermione were together, just based on their letters, which he's correct. So he was so angry at them that he'd thrown out their birthday presents of Honeyduke's chocolates unopened, but then immediately regretted it after Aunt Petunia gave him salad for dinner. Harry was upset that he wasn't the one doing busy things. He realized oh my god, I can't talk. He was upset that he wasn't the one busy doing things. After all, he had been the one who had seen it happen. He watched Cedric get murdered. He proved himself capable of handling much more than Ron and Hermione.
Ooh.
So, this is like, I think that this line is potentially something that people use as like, I hate Harry in this book. But at the end of the day, like, he's just very frustrated right now.
For sure.
And like, whenever you're super frustrated about a situation or about something, like, a lot of the times you will say things that you don't really mean. And I think that, like, yes, it is true that he is the one that experienced it. He went through it. He's definitely proved himself capable. Though later on in this book, he's like, well, it's all luck, you know. But, like, right now he's mad, so he's saying these things like, well, I proved that I can do it. I don't understand why I'm not there.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't realize that, like, even though Ron and Hermione are there, they're not allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, and too, like, for him, he's probably just feeling so useless. Like, he's so used to being, like, in the thick of the things with, like, all the stuff going on that really hasn't translated over into a summer yet. So this is really the first summer where things are happening, and he feels like every single year that he's been in the Wizarding world and that he's been at Hogwarts, he's the one that's doing stuff. You know what I mean?
He has FOMO right now.
For sure. Like, he's feeling useless, and he's feeling like there's so much that I can do, and they're not letting me, and they're not even, like, giving me any information. So it's just got to be horribly frustrating.
So we're bringing FOMO into 2020.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh no.
So we're clearly seeing, and as we've said it like a ton already, like, there's clear PTSD here, because Harry then talks about his dreams. He says that he's dreamed about Cedric's murder. He's told himself sternly to not think about it during the day because he already sees it happen over and over again at night. So he doesn't want to think about it at night and when he's awake. He doesn't seem he also doesn't seem as mad about Sirius's letters, even though he's still frustrated. He feels like Sirius's also contain words of caution and consolation instead of just like tantalizing him with hints of what's going on. Which, it's funny that he uses that word because it's like clearly you're seeing all of this frustration towards Ron and Hermione. He's even using verbiage such as like, oh, well, they're like teasing me with these hints, like how dare they, when in reality like he's probably reading into it way too much. But again, that's anxiety.
It's probably Hermione being like, okay, I can tell him this and maybe this will help him, you know, get through a little bit, like,
and he's like, no.
And he's taking it the wrong way.
Right. It's anxiety. Like all of this really just comes back to Harry having serious anxiety.
Yeah.
I bet you Sirius has his own anxiety. It's
Probably.
Harry's anxiety.
Yeah, that's true.
Sarah, I guess.
So Harry is still walking while all of this is going through his mind, and he's heading towards the, quote, play park. So cute.
Oh my god, my sister calls it a play park.
And we thought that it was just, like, funny that she said that, and then I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, that's, like, a British thing, isn't it? Your sister is
hilarious.
British. Harry
She's
thought...
wonderful.
Harry thought about how he actually had been quite good over the summer, and he had resisted flying to the Burrow on his own. He thought his behavior had been very good considering how frustrated and angry he felt at being stuck on Privet Drive.
I'm sorry. It's just like, yeah, I've been a really good boy. Can't I leave now?
Right.
Reduced to hiding in flower beds in the hope of hearing something that might point
Might do it.
to what Lord Voldemort was doing. On the couch, like, just...
Hello,
So
Pooch.
cozy.
Shout out to everyone's quality Pooch.
Quality Pooches.
And quality kitties.
Yes.
It's yellow.
It's yellow.
Thanks. Alright, so Harry sets off towards the play park. And he sits down on one of the swings and he's staring moodily at the ground. Harry is totally emo right now. Tomorrow he'd have to think of a new way to hear the news. Like, how sad is this? In the meantime, he had nothing to look forward to but another restless, disturbed night.
And the dread and anxiety you have going into that.
And as Mike said, like, he was having these nightmares, but even if he didn't have those nightmares, he would dream about long, dark corridors. They all had dead ends and locked doors. And he
sounds
guessed
familiar.
this is because he feels like he's trapped right now. But we'll find out later, he's actually, like,
Having visions.
having real visions.
Because he's a seer.
Right? So his scar is still prickling quite often, but he isn't even bothering telling anybody because when his scar hurts, that means Voldemort is near or getting more power, and that's pretty obvious right now, so he doesn't even think it's worth it. I have to read from the chapter, and I have to find it.
Katie, what are you doing, you
I don't
amateur?
know.
Amateur hour with Katie. I don't do this podcast. That's not even a book.
I
That's
can't even find it.
Google Doc.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
So let's talk about this for
Go
real.
for it.
On the for real. Harry is a seer.
Harry was there.
I actually really like this example
It's
though.
a seer of the current. The happening right now.
Yeah, but even so, like, is it? Are those visions because Voldemort is doing something at the Department of Mysteries right now? So
He's thinking about the Department of Mysteries. Like
so he's seeing Voldemort's thoughts. Okay, I like that.
yeah, he's thinking about doing shots
My God.
of cough syrup.
I found it.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Katie.
So I wanted to read. A lot of this chapter is very Harry internal, like all of it. Yes.
Really quick, I wanted to say that Vinny in the live chat says that this is kind of the first book that Harry turns more into a character and not just a protagonist.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
You spend a lot of time in Harry's head, which is why I think, at least in my part, like I have a lot of read from chapters because it's like I can't just be like, well, Harry was angry, but that doesn't give you an idea of like
What he was
what's
feeling.
really going on.
I got you.
I also wanted to point out something that Ethan said. And he said, I think in a way it's also metaphorical. The doors locked are him feeling like he needs to know so much more.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he like can't go through them.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like it because it's sad.
Right.
Well, yeah.
I like your
I
interpretation.
like it 'cause I
Many
like sad things. I'm just
Sad
kidding.
things with Sarah.
Alright.
In this chapter,
The injustice of it all welled up inside of him so that he wanted to yell with fury. If it hadn't been for him, nobody would even have known Voldemort was back. and his reward was to be stuck in Little Whinging for 4 solid weeks, completely cut off from the magical world, reduced to squatting among dying begonias so that he could hear about water skiing budge riggers.
Parakeets. I don't know
How
how
would
to
you
say
say
it.
that?
I don't know, but I did just watch a squirrel jump from branch to branch. It was pretty cool.
How could Dumbledore...
Bajoragars?
Parakeets.
Parakeets. Water skiing. How could Dumbledore have forgotten him so easily? Why had Ron and Hermione got together without inviting him along too? How much longer was he supposed to endure Sirius telling him to sit tight and be a good boy, or resist the temptation to write the stupid Daily Prophet and point out that Voldemort had returned? These furious thoughts whirled around in Harry's head, and his insides writhed with anger as a sultry, velvety night fell around him. The air full of the smell of warm, dry gas.
Did you swear?
Oh no, I said gas instead of grass.
Oh. I mean, I can't. I'm not reading what. I almost said I can't read. Obviously, I didn't know what you were reading.
The air full of the smell of warm, dry grass, and the only sound of that of the low grumble of traffic on the road beyond the park railings. So Harry's got a lot of feels at this moment.
He's got a lot going on in his brain.
Yes.
That's overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
I know. Okay, so he sits there on the swing until he starts hearing these voices, and it's Dudley and his gang. Dudley's a little different this year. He's as big as ever, but apparently he's been doing a year of hard dieting, and he has also discovered boxing. So he's the junior heavyweight interschool boxing champion. So he's this big, now kind of like cut dude. And Harry doesn't think it's anything to celebrate because while he's not scared of Dudley anymore, he still doesn't think that, you know, you should be happy about him actually learning how to punch.
Yeah.
And apparently all the neighborhood children are absolutely terrified of him.
That is so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for the park that's like down the street for them, and it's like a scary place.
There were some kids in my neighborhood growing up who were kind of like that, and like I just remember you would walk to the park and you would like get to the point where you can see the people that are there, and you would notice them and you'd be like, oh,
Or time to turn around.
and you'd have to turn around and just go back home. Ugh,
I'm
it's the
grateful I
worst.
never had that.
It sucked.
I ran through a field growing up playing Lion King, so I don't know.
No, I mean, we had a park right down at the end of our street, and there really wasn't people. Like, there were woods too. We weren't allowed to go in there. Like, that's where like not the scary people, but like that's where like the Dudley people would have been. Would be the wooded part of the park,
people,
or the other end where there wasn't anything, like not the kid park,
Right.
which is the part that I played in.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything with like park related, but like, I mean, I had a bully in school who I was a target. You know what I mean? Like, there's always that one kid that is exactly like Dudley.
What did they say to you? Who were they?
They said mean stuff.
Get okay. Get
Yeah, I got made fun of because I had curly hair.
I got made fun of.
Sounds about right.
I got
So
made
good.
fun of because I wasn't super skinny. So, you know, it happens.
Just be kind.
Yeah.
Teach your children to be kind. Don't be a Dudley.
Don't be a Dudley and don't be a Richard.
Episode title: Don't be a Dudley.
I love it.
So Harry is watching Dudley and his crew, and he finds himself thinking like, "Hey, I'm right here. Come on, come and have a go." Like,
Dude, he's
I'm
ready.
sitting right here. Yeah, he just wants to pick
He's
a
got
fight.
that pent up aggression
Mm-hmm.
And
from
not-
all his feels.
Not just that, but he thinks it would be fun to watch Dudley in that kind of situation. So to see Dudley in front of his boys,
I mean,
you wish for.
It kind of would be.
Sarah.
No, but like, do you mean because like he's terrified of Harry? Because like regardless of him, like technically not technically, he's not allowed to do magic outside of school. But like Dudley's like, you know, there's always a chance. Like, will he? Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Right. So he thinks it'd be fun to like try and see Dudley not lose face in front of his gang, but like he also doesn't want to provoke Harry because he's scared of him. But this quote it's pretty dark. Like, we hit this book dark hard like right away. Quote, "It would be really fun to watch Dudley's dilemma, to taunt him, watch him, with him powerless to respond. And if any of the others tried hitting Harry, Harry was ready. He had his wand. Let them try. He'd love to vent some of his frustration on the boys who had once made his life hell."
Yeah, like this kid is just ready.
Yeah.
ready. Like, have you ever been that way where like you're so pent up, like even just to cry, you're like, I'm gonna purposely do something so like to get the reaction out of myself.
Yeah.
That I want.
No. I've never done that personally.
I've never done it in the aspect of like I want to start a fight with someone, but when like I can feel myself like
you need a good
really
cry.
Really emotional. Yes. I need a
or
good
like,
cry.
I've not
be
done
the-
that, but I do know that like some people like feel that frustration, they need to cry, so they put on something sad or think about something sad just to cry it out.
Mine's usually like I'll like need it, and then like something will happen. Like I'm not that I won't let myself cry like watching something sad, but it's usually like soon, and then I'm like crying about like the dumbest thing ever, and I'm like, well, I needed a good cry, and there it was. Like I just was sobbing over, watching a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It was a good movie. I watched Klaus on Netflix. Sobbed.
The part of this though that I don't know, I want to see what you guys think is, like, I know Harry has every right, and when I read this the first time, you just think, oh, sassy Harry, he's angry that whole book, but like now I'm like, oh, he had like a lot of real legit feelings. He had every right to feel how he felt.
Right.
But he also does have this really new, real connection with Voldemort.
Yeah.
Back for real. So the words to taunt him, watch him with them powerless to respond, that right there feels very Voldemort to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is a direct influence and if it's just like mixed with everything that Harry's feeling.
No, I think it perfectly reflects what Voldemort does to other people. I mean, he likes to be that bigger guy, and he likes to watch people be in those situations and hurt them and watch them be powerless.
Right.
So I think that if Voldemort has those feelings and then Harry's feeling all of his emotions, that it for sure can get transferred, for lack of a better term, over to Harry, and Harry can feel those things that he might not have necessarily felt himself. He might have wanted to see Dudley in that situation where Dudley wouldn't know what to do in front of his friends, but I'm not sure that Harry would have taken it a step further to think to, what did you say, see him powerless to respond and
Like it would just I feel
ready to
like
hurt
it's-
the others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Go for it.
If you think about it, that's kind of this connection. Like the whole 5th book is him wondering, am I really, like, he's having these thoughts, then he's thinking, am I really as good of a person as all these people think that I am?
He's
am
feeling Voldemort's feelings.
Yeah, like
right.
and
Yes.
not only just Voldemort's feelings, but he's going through a lot.
Yeah.
And his brain is working overtime because he's going through all of these emotions that he really didn't have time to process in the right way. And there's just he's gone through a ton, and now he's thinking, I have all this anger inside of me because of what happened, and with Dudley being a Dudley for 15 years or 14 years that he's been living with them, and he's got all of these things built up, and it's like all this pressure, and it's not being released, and so he's like reacting this way because he doesn't really have a healthy way of getting rid of venting it, of getting rid of it.
He can't talk about it. He can't do
He has
anything.
no one there.
Yeah, so like that's just like this whole book really is like, am I really good, and like why am I thinking this way? But I think that's somewhat normal to have thoughts like that.
Well, he's also a teenager. Right
Yeah,
now,
that's
so
like when you're a teenager. I mean, I know I was not that nice all the time,
It's a combination of like all of the things you're saying, plus the fact that like Voldemort really does have a body now.
Yeah.
So his connection with Voldemort could have completely changed in that instant. And like, so not only is he just dealing with PTSD, being a teenager, growing up, dealing with Dudley, all these things that you guys literally just said, on top of the fact that like he had some sort of connection before, but it was pretty faint, and like now it's like a lot more
Because of Voldemort being back within like a human form.
Right. So
and
like
having those full-fledged thoughts and feelings, like I don't want to say that Voldemort didn't have those like full like thoughts and feelings when he didn't have a body,
but he was weak.
but I feel like because I think his goal was more towards getting the body back.
Yeah.
And now his goals are other things.
If you
and
think
so
about
those
it-
feelings are going in.
My body's back.
If you think about it like a string that's attaching them, and like when he was weak, it was like really loose, and now it's like tighter. I
It's
don't know why I snapped.
No,
It's tighter.
No, but that makes a lot of sense.
So,
And like it ties in not only to like the emotions that Harry has because of the PTSD and because of, you know, him being a 15-year-old and him having all of these crazy things that happen to him, like Harry just being Harry, on top of now all of these new feelings that like he's feeling from Voldemort, because like you said, like before Voldemort may have had ideas, but like now he can actually execute them potentially, so that's like even stronger.
I want to bring up something from Morgan Warner in the chat. She says, do you think he is, oh darn it,
Do you think he's more vulnerable
Thanks.
because he's emotionally volatile, as discussed in his occlumency lessons?
I would say 100%.
Yeah.
For
He
sure.
doesn't know that he has to block anything, so therefore he is not.
Right.
So everything's coming through.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, like, you know,
And he sucks at occlumency anyway.
when you know, when
That's
you
rude.
grow up with
Wow.
like a solid I don't even know, like he grew up in a very emotionally turmoil, you know, with his aunt and uncle who didn't like him and didn't care for him, but they like, he was raised there, so he doesn't have those emotional ways to like to deal with his emotions in like a healthy, positive way. So he doesn't know how to do that anyways. Adding on to the fact that obviously we see that he can't close himself off, but he doesn't know how to do it, you know, where you normally learn that from whomever is raising you if you're raised in, you know, not a Dudley and
A Dursley household
Yeah.
with being a Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But honestly, how much parenting is going on with Dudley?
For sure.
Not much.
You know,
For sure.
I mean, we can say a lot about the way that they treat Harry, but when you step back and look at it as an adult, they're treating Dudley poorly as well.
Yes.
As parents.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because they're just blind to like everything going on with him.
Because he too.
They're either blind or they're ignoring.
Well, because even if you think of like the very first book, when he realizes that he has one less present than the year before, he like
Right.
freaks out. Like that's not, you know, he too is emotionally stunted.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, we could talk for hours and days
Coping
about
mechanism
the
is
way
what
that
I was looking for, and
that
my friend
Dudley is.
Regine gave me the words.
coming in clutch.
So Harry's amping himself up for this fight, but I think lucky for him, they didn't see him. They just keep going on by. And Harry has a moment to be like, yeah, picking a fight isn't really a smart move. I can't use magic. I'm going to risk being expelled again because he has Dobby's spell against him. And technically he has that blowing up Aunt Marge spell against him, so he already has 2 strikes.
Yeah.
Like technically that right there is foreshadowing too to like what's literally gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
and like he knows that Fudge is not with him anymore.
Oh no, definitely. If you think back to the, it probably wasn't the last chapter, but I think second to last chapter, the parting of the ways, or something like this.
Right, yeah.
The
The parting of the ways, literally Dumbledore and Fudge.
Yeah. So it was the Order of the Phoenix pitted versus the Ministry of Magic. Like it's over between them. There is no relationship between them anymore, and Harry knows that because he was there for everything, and he knows that the way that Fudge was looking at him, speaking about him, saying, how can you believe this boy when he's clearly deranged, and because he was reading the prophet about Harry. And so, you know, Harry saying this, like he doesn't have them anymore to treat him like a Harry Potter, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like
The
he
Harry
didn't-
Potter effect is gone from the ministry.
It's gone from the ministry for sure.
And I'm not saying that bad against Harry, like he didn't choose that, but like now, like if something bad happens, and as we see, it's instantly like, well, you're a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Because-
you did something wrong,
Yeah,
even though he didn't.
yeah. Even though somebody did it on purpose.
And we'll get to that. So Harry thinks, well, there you go, Sirius. I didn't do anything rash. I kept my nose clean. Exactly the opposite of what you would have done. So
He can
apparently,
be so spiteful.
I know.
It's
but
like
it's
very
really
petty.
true though.
Yeah,
So
super
petty.
petty.
But
But again, anxiety does that to you.
For sure.
It makes you petty about the dumbest stuff.
It's true. So Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon feel that whenever Dudley decides to turn up at home, that's curfew, and that's when you should probably be home. And anytime
Cool.
after that is way too late. So Harry's like, well, if the gang's going back, I should probably head back to Privet Drive. So he does eventually catch up with the boys, and he's listening to their conversations. And
Ugh.
you hear, squealed like a pig, didn't he? And then another one goes, nice right hook, Big D, which,
Awful.
great nickname,
Awful.
sir.
All right, leave it. Move on.
I know.
Kate.
I know. So Harry waits until the others leave, which I think is kind of smart for him. You don't need to pick a fight with. I mean, you're a small dude.
He really doesn't need to pick a fight with
At all.
anybody.
Yeah, I
but
know.
Mm-hmm.
whatever. He was feeling antsy.
Yeah. But he does catch up to Dudley after the other ones leave, and he's like, hey, Big D. So then Dudley turns around, and he's like, oh, it's you. And Harry starts taunting him, and he's like, so how long have you been, Big D? Cool name. You'll always be Ickle Diddykins to me. And Dudley's like getting more and more mad, tells him to like shut his face, and Harry's just like, oh, do your boys know that your mom calls you that? Do they know about Popkin and Dinky Diddy Dums? Can I use those? And he just keeps venting all of this out at him because he has no one else to do that to right now. He can't really talk to Ron and Hermione. He can't really talk to Sirius. Like, he is 1,000% alone.
Mm-hmm.
We find out that Dudley beats up little kids around the neighborhood.
It's terrible.
Awful.
Like, literally a 10-year-old. And Dudley's like, well, he was asking for it.
No.
Please, sir, might I have another?
And
He cheeked me.
yeah, Harry just keeps taunting him. He said, oh yeah, he cheeked you? Did he say that you look like a pig that's been taught to walk on its hind legs? Because that's not cheek, Dud, that's
He's on
He's
it. Like
on
right
it.
now.
Oh,
He's ready.
He's on it, yeah.
Ooh.
So Dudley's getting more and more angry. But they're both still walking back home. And then Dudley comes back at Harry, and he's like, oh, you think you're a big man carrying that thing? And meaning his wand.
I mean, it could literally kill you, so watch out,
Yeah.
you know?
And Harry's like, oh, what this? And pulls it out. And Harry's like, well, or Dudley's like, you're not allowed, you'll get expelled. And Harry's like, well, you don't know if they changed the rules or not. So they go back and forth. And then, sorry, I'm skimming as I read. Oh, so then Dudley pulls out kind of a
Low blow.
Oh yeah,
A little bit.
low blow. So
Little
he's
bit.
like, "Oh, you're not as brave at night, are you?" And he's like, Harry's like, "Oh, this is night. That's what it's called when it goes dark like
He is,
this."
dude. He is so sassy.
And Dudley's like, "No, when you're in bed." And Harry's like, "What are you talking about?" And he starts talking about how Harry talks in his sleep, and how he says, "Don't kill Cedric. Don't kill Cedric."
Ugh.
And he's like, "Who's Cedric? Your boyfriend?" Which, all right, Dudley. But Harry's like, oh my god, like, he doesn't know that he does that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, you're lying, but like, clearly. And apparently he yells for his parents in his sleep, which is
So sad.
really sad. And Harry's just telling him to like, shut up, he's warning me, and then, or I'm warning you, and then all of a sudden Dudley's like, don't you point that thing at me. Because Harry's, he's had it. He's got his wand out.
Yeah.
But, like, do you blame him? I mean, like...
No, but
it's
Harry
not
also pushed him to this point
well,
as well.
for sure, but, like, it's not a smart move, but, like...
It's not a smart move on either one's part.
No,
No.
but, like, what Dudley did also was, like you guys said, a super low blow.
Yeah. But, like, if I could see both reasons why both of them are going into this fight. Like, Harry just wanted to pick a fight with someone, and then Dudley's going to be like, well, okay, you're saying all this stuff, I'm going to say this to you to, like, a low blow, but still, it's going to get the job done.
Yeah, and, like, it sucks because Harry isn't able to talk about it, so, like, Dudley doesn't really know how big of a situation that
Yeah.
even is, and,
Yeah.
like, the fact that he's taunting him, like, he doesn't understand that, like, that really happened.
That was
Yeah.
real trauma.
Right, like, it was real. He's thinking, like, oh, well, I'm just gonna, like, poke fun at this dream
Yeah.
that he has, whatever. When in reality, like, it's so much more than that.
Yeah. Like, it's traumatic to watch someone be killed right in front of your eyes or die right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, I
And
would
Dudley
imagine.
doesn't know that he went through all of it. Not that, I mean, even if he did, I don't think he would really care because he's Dudley, and at this point in time, he just doesn't care. So, years of anger and hate really towards Dudley and all of the trauma of the past year with school have brought Harry to the bubbling surface. What am I even saying? I don't know. I did not read anything that was written.
I do that too. And I'm like, what
Okay.
what's coming out of my mouth?
So he pulled out his wand is out, and he's threatening Dudley with it, and he's basically like, don't talk about it again. Like, and Dudley gasps, and it's like completely dark. I just went really fast. But so he's basically like, don't talk about my dad, don't talk about any of the situation, like threatening him. I almost said threatening him with a knife. It's a wand. So like they're literally in the middle of like the conversation, and all of a sudden it goes dark. Dudley gasps, completely dark, like literally nothing. It's almost like all of the lights in the entire world went out. No stars, no moon, no street lights. And it was very silent. Like, you couldn't even hear the cars or anything.
Have you ever had that kind of pressing darkness on your eyes? Like, when you maybe first, like, say you're, like, out, I don't know, like, when you first shut off the lights to, like, go to bed or something, but it's, like, just straight black.
No, because a lot of times my eyes adjust really quickly.
Yes.
Like, and I can, not that I can see in the dark.
It's scary, man.
But, like, I can kind of see in the dark. To the point where, like, when I was a kid. No, when I was a kid, and Bridget and I would share a room when we were kids.
Pretty much have raccoon eyes.
I could not, like, I could see her from where she would turn the light off to her bed, and it scared me. Everything scared me as a child. So, like, I couldn't watch her. Like, I had to close my eyes. And, like, whatever.
There's a place that Marty and I stay in, and it has no windows. So, like, when you turn off the lights are off.
Yeah.
And
It's
it was
like you feel like something's on your eyes. It's weird.
Yeah. And it's very cold. And so for a moment, like, Harry thought that he made it happen basically, like, with, like, not wandless magic, but, like, without saying a spell, so, like, wordless magic. But he's trying his hardest not to do magic. But then he realized, he's like, I'm not capable of, like, turning all the lights off. Like, that's crazy. But it makes me think of, back with Aunt Marge, like, how far he's come, as much as he's emotionally stunted, but he's trying his hardest not to explode like he did with Aunt Marge however many years ago, and now he's still mad about it, has gone through all of these things, and he didn't, blow Dudley up, basically, or anything else.
That's pretty impressive.
If he had the Deluminator, he could take off the streetlights. Just saying.
The streetlight's already gone, though.
Right now it's called the put-outer.
Anyway, so Dudley's, like, freaking out, and he's blaming Harry for making him go blind. And then, like, Harry's trying to tell him to, like, shut up, because he's like, you need to shut up because I need to see, like, well, not see, I need to hear if there's anything going on. Like, I need to listen. And then it says the air around them was so cold it was making him shiver. Mind you, it's still in the middle of summer in this huge heat wave.
Yes, not normal.
And it says from the book, it was impossible. They couldn't be here, not in Little Winching. He strained his ears. He would hear them before he saw them.
He would hear them before he saw them.
Well, if it's pitch black and they're kind of cloth.
No, but I think, like,
in black.
even if there was light, he would be able to probably hear them because he hears
The death
either A, Lily.
I was
Or
thinking
be
he
the
would
rattle.
hear his memories.
Yeah.
I just got
That's what I.
chills.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
there are Dementors around. They're on your shirt.
Oh my god.
But it's true.
Alice Command.
So I just pulled, like, some articles just as a refresher about Dementors, because if you didn't know, now you do. That's what's there. So there's some Wizarding World articles that, like, I wanted to see if there was, like, anything, like, just a straight Dementor article, and there really isn't. So there's some Wizarding World ones. I'm going to read some from the lexicon. And this is, Dementors are horrible, spectral, magical creatures, hooded and robed, which feed on negative human emotions. Dementors drain peace, hope, and happiness out of the air around them, according to Lupin. Even before a Dementor is seen, its presence is obvious. They are surrounded by an unnatural darkness and terrible icy cold. Dementors can even affect Muggles, although the Muggles can't see the foul black creatures. We know they're guards of Azkaban, and they're made from that horrible place, and they made that place even worse. And we know that they were also used as guards in courtrooms. When they breed, they create chill mist, which permeates everything.
Are there, like, a lot of Dementors in Ohio right now? 'Cause
Right.
It's, like,
It's
pretty
very
overcast and horrible.
Oh my god.
And it says a Dementor's breath sounds like rattling, and it's like it's trying to suck more than out of a room. Its hands are glistening, grayish, slimy looking, and scabbed. It seems to exude cold. A Dementor's last and worst weapon is called the Dementor's Kiss. And it says the Dementor puts back its hood and clamps its jaws on the mouth of the victim and sucks out his soul, leaving him an empty shell. Him or her. I'm just reading this.
Nope, they're just like men.
I guess. Hey, that's good for me, because I identify as female, so I don't need to be kissing no Dementor. They're alive, but completely, irretrievably gone. And then there's some articles that's like everything you need to know about the Dementor's kiss, and that's like how bad it is, what the side effects are, whatever else. I'm gonna really read it. And then there is another article. It's like why Dementors are the scariest magical creatures.
I think they are.
Yeah.
I have to agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you're reliving your worst trauma. So as we've talked, like the first time Harry ever encounters, the first couple of times in the third book that he encounters Dementors, he's hearing his mom's literal last, not even like words and screams. And then this time around, he hears Voldemort from the graveyard. I would not want to go through something like that. I don't know if anyone would want to go through something like that.
I don't think so.
Well, think of like, you know, say someone's afraid of like, I mean, what a manticore is like 5x, right? Like they're really dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're probably like not gonna run into one of those, or there's like things you can do. With a Dementor, like that's literally depression.
Yeah.
Like, that's like it's like a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like the only way to make it go away is, I mean, that's extreme strength.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like it's hard. Like if you think about the way he's learning to do the Patronus charm and how it's not an easy thing to do, and it's not something that like they're impressed when younger people can do it. So like when you're thinking about people that are like that have depression and go through, like that's not an easy thing to overcome.
Nope.
It's difficult. Really a lot of mental illness, like it's a difficult thing to go through, and it's difficult for other people. Like they're saying Muggles can't see Dementors. Like people don't know. Like I've had people like I'm like a crazy anxious person, and they're like I had no idea. I'm like I'm really good at faking it, you know, which isn't a good thing. But that's such like a metaphor for like the Dementors, for mental health and all of those things that like some people can't see it. That doesn't mean they're not there. It doesn't mean they're not sad. It doesn't mean they're not anxious. It doesn't mean that they're not suffering in some way, shape, or form.
Check in on your friends.
Absolutely. So Dudley interrupted Harry again, and then he hears the sound that he was dreading, and this is another quote from the book. It says, there was something in the alleyway apart from themselves, something that was drawing long, hoarse, rattling breaths.
Blood.
And I remember, I'm pretty sure, like, when we talked about Dementors the first time, that, like, there is something called the death rattle, and if you know what it is, like, it's not a pleasant thing, and guarantee this, to me, like, that's what it sounds like. So, like, Dudley's, like, freaking out, he's really not pleased, and is blaming Harry for all of this, so he punches Harry right in the head, and so Harry's...
Can you imagine?
And
That's
think about
two
it.
blows to your head
in one day.
in one day.
Couple hours, yeah.
Couple hours apart, maybe less.
So obviously Dudley being a bigger guy, and he's pretty strong, Harry's seeing stars, and he's knocked to the ground, and then his wand is knocked from his hand, and so Dudley starts running, and Harry's like, dude, you're running right at them, but he can't see them, so he doesn't know, and he's probably not listening or believes Harry anyways, and Harry can't see, so he's scrambling to find his wand in the dark, and he could hear Dudley stop running, and then he felt a chill, Harry being the one feeling the chill, behind him, and then he realizes that there's more than one Dementor. So he yells at Dudley to keep his mouth shut no matter what, and he finally finds his wand. He says Lumos, and the wand lights up, basically. I want to say the light turns on.
Does it say in the letter that he gets that he cast Lumos, or is it just the Patronus charm?
I think it just says magic in front of a Muggle.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not for sure.
I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that
Tomorrow.
True.
We'll talk about that in the next episode. But like, that's a pretty powerful thing to do. Be able to say Lumos, and you're not even holding your wand, and it lights up.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really telling of like the connection that he has with his wand specifically.
Yeah. So he can finally see that that one Dementor is right behind him. He grabs his wand, and he tries to do, like, I literally said, he tries to expecto patronum in a way. And so we know it's the Patronus charm. And if you don't know, if you haven't listened to our previous episodes, I don't know why you're listening to this one, but hey, you do you. Expecto Patronum literally translates to I await a guardian. And if you do a strong enough Patronus charm, it like comes out as an animal, I believe. Is it always a creature?
Not always. Well, it's always an animal, but it might not be.
This
like
strong enough is what I'm saying.
Got it. Yeah.
So
You're right. Sorry.
I was like,
right?
Do people are they like people Patronuses?
I literally
my
was like,
Patronus is Sarah.
I was literally gonna be like, wait, who has one that's not an animal? So there's an article about the Patronus charm on the Wizarding World, and we say it's the Patronus is the most famous and famously difficult defensive charm. The aim is to deliver a silvery white guardian or protector, which takes the form of an animal. The exact form of Patronus will not be apparent until the spell has been successfully cast. One of the most powerful defensive charms known to wizard kind, the Patronus can also be used as a messenger between wizards.
So cool.
As a pure protective magical concentration of happiness and hope, the recollection of a single talisman memory is essential in its creation. It is the only spell effective against Dementors, the majority of witches and wizards are unable to produce Patronuses, and to do so is generally considered a mark of superior magical ability. I'm not going to read this whole article because there's a lot, and we've already gone through Patronus charms, but I would like to point out that Dolores Umbridge can produce a Patronus charm.
She can, yes.
That's not okay.
And think about, like, someone I recently read online that someone was like, her being, like, she thrives, like, that's her happy memory, is, like, being mean to people and, like, having all, like, that's her happy place.
Because she is the gut cat Patronus that patrols during the trials.
The trials.
Sorry.
You're a disgrace to cat people.
I know. It's also telling, though, how many people Harry is able to teach how to do the Patronus charm, too.
Mm-hmm.
I also think,
he's a good teacher.
That's the thing. I think that's a big ticket for people learning things, is you have to have, like, it doesn't even have to be like a legitimate teacher, but if you can just have someone, because not everyone learns the same, tell you in a way that you understand. Like, I have friends that, like, you know, I obviously am not a teacher, but, like, I've helped them learn, like, do, like, math things or, like, do whatever, and they're like, oh my god, I had teachers all my entire life trying to teach me this, and, like, they didn't get it.
Yeah.
And Harry's patient, and he's willing to help all of these people be better wizards.
Yep.
What if it's not just that? What if it's like a metaphor? You should, like, uplift other people.
Mm-hmm.
And because Harry's like this positive force, he's a positive force to all these other kids, and they can all do it now.
Yeah, I like
just
that.
like if like someone's down and you help them, like you just, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no,
I feel what I'm putting down.
I like that.
I'm picking it up. It is also said that, you know, when we're talking about, like, children and learning, like, if they like you and respect you, then they're going to be able to learn from you. Or if they feel like you care about them, then they're going to be able to learn from you. And I think that says a lot about Harry as a person, that he has his peers who respect him and they feel like he cares about them, and that's why he can teach even someone who has so much trouble in certain subjects like Neville to produce the magic that he might not have been able to from maybe other teachers or for a long time within his life.
I think too with that is that Neville probably has teachers that, like, write him off like his family did.
Right.
And Harry's probably like, just practice, just try. You know, that's the best you can do is try and, like, watch you succeed because you can do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it might take you a little bit longer, but that doesn't mean you can't do it.
Right.
All right, going back to the chapter.
Harry Potter.
So the spell wasn't strong enough the first time, and it just kind of makes the Dementor slow down a bit. Harry was trying to concentrate while the Dementor reached out their gray, slimy, scabbed hands, and he tries to spell again, and it still wasn't strong enough. Are you raising your hand?
No, she's admiring her tattoo.
Her tattoo.
Why come you no tattoo?
So the Dementor's hands are, like, basically, like, around his neck. So this is 2 times in one night that someone's hands are around his neck. I guess they're not someone, they're just Dementors. But whatever. And he's trying to think of something happy while hearing Voldemort in his head from their last encounter. So this is now, like, before he
number
was
one.
hearing his
Yeah.
mom's literal last breaths, basically. And now he's literally hearing the words that Voldemort was telling him in the graveyard. So the thought of never seeing Harry, nope.
I'll never see myself again.
The thought of never seeing Ron or Hermione again kind of crossed his mind. Then his face has popped into his head. And then he tried the spell again, and this time a large silver stag burst from his wand, and the Dementor was thrown away from Harry. Then the stag charged at the Dementor and it flew away. So I'd like to point out, as much as Harry was kind of hating on Ron and Hermione this entire chapter, because I get it. I totally understand why he would be feeling the way he does. But the thought of his two best friends is the reason he's able to produce the charm this time.
Yeah. He loves them.
For sure. It's just a huge bag of emotions that he's carrying around with him, the poor guy. So then Harry then has the stag go towards Dudley. Harry's also running kind of towards that way. The Dementor is close to being able to give Dudley a kiss. He's literally trying to pry his hands away from his face.
I hate how it's described as like almost lovingly. Oh.
Yeah. So Harry has a stag charge at the second Dementor, and then it flies away after being thrown from Dudley. And I thought it was really interesting when I was reading it because it was both times like the stag pierced the Dementor with its antlers.
Yeah, I like that.
And I just thought it was really cool. So then once both of the Dementors were gone, the stag kind of dissolved into a silver mist. So it was no longer pitch black. The stars, the moon, and the streetlights were back, as was the warmth of the summer evening. And then Harry was kind of shocked at how like it all just seems to happen very quickly, and all of a sudden everything is back to normal. The lights are back on. He can hear the street sounds again. The warmth is back. And he can't believe that they were just attacked by Dementors in Little Winching. And so he kind of looked. Dudley's on the ground, whimpering and shaking. Kind of like Peter Pettigrew was after he got his hand cut off. I mean, he cut his own hand off, but...
Come on, hand.
So Harry goes to check on him to see if he can walk, but he hears footsteps behind him. So he turns and he raises his wand, and lo and behold, it's the kind of craziest neighbor that sometimes watched Harry when the Dursleys were out and about. It's Mrs. Figg!
Shout out to Figg!
What up, girl?
Do you like figs?
How you doing?
Have you ever had a Figg?
I love figs.
I love
Alright.
figs.
I don't know. It's been a long... Oh, was that a fig or a date that I ate?
It was a date.
It was a date.
I've never had a date.
We know your wife is not nice.
Megan.
You know what though? Shout out to Nature's Bakery Fig Bars.
I thought you were gonna be like, shout out to people who go on dates.
So
good.
We went to the movies.
I know.
So Mrs. Figg is running towards them, shopping bags swinging from her arms. Her feet were half out of her slippers.
Her
hair was askew.
Oh my god. I
Yes.
love her.
I just want to say that like this scene in the movie, I think that she just looks perfect.
Yeah.
Like the casting of her, like her costume, like everything was just done so well. How she's got like the little cart and she has the little like cap on her hair, like
Yes.
my grandma and my great aunt used to wear whenever they would go outside and it was raining.
Ugh.
Oh my god, it's just so cute.
So Harry goes to like kind of put his wand away and like hide it.
Mm-hmm.
And her response was, "Don't put it away, idiot boy. What if there are more of them around? Oh, I'm going to kill Mundungus Fletcher." I said, "What? OMG? Mrs. Figg knows about magical things. This is brand new information."
This is brand new information.
And then there's also
Fig's got facts.
an article. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but there's an article about unsung heroes Arabella Doreen Figg.
You give her a middle name, but other people don't have first. All right.
They don't even have birthdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Read it. Okay.
I'm not gonna. I'll just read the first paragraph. And
Okay.
it just says, for most of Harry's childhood and adolescence, Arabella Figg was just the peculiar, cat-obsessed old lady who looked after him once a year or so. It wasn't until Order of the Phoenix that he and we realized Mrs. Figg was so much more than a neighborly figure. She turned out to be one of Harry's fiercest protectors and one of Dumbledore's most trusted confidants. We may even go as far to say that without Arabella Doreen Figg, Harry's life could have taken a turn for the worse after the summer of 1995. Here's our celebration of all things Figg and how she saved Harry by a whisker. The first thing is all about Figg Newtons, and I'm kidding. But it
She invented
talks
them.
about she's a squib and how she didn't let that define her. And there's a picture of Argus Filch, who is also a squib.
And he did let that define him.
Yeah, so it's got a whole long article. But we enjoy Mrs. Figg, and
We
her.
enjoy figs in general.
Yeah, and we enjoy her
Fozzie likes figs.
being part
Fozzie
of
likes to sniff them.
part of the crew to make sure that Harry survived and didn't do anything too dumb.
So does this mean that, like, technically Mrs. Figg is a part of the Order of the Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
Don't they call her Figgy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Figgy.
Oh, Figgy. I don't know.
Well, that's what
quote
Fletcher.
they, but
All
my
right.
youngest
Yeah.
Oh,
does.
okay, my bad.
Send
I
us
call
your
her Figgy.
lightning bolt round questions, people who are on the tube of you.
Yeah, do you guys have any
Ah,
while we wait
do
for
it,
some from the chat?
Can we pause so I can go to the bathroom?
No, but you can just go to the bathroom. I'm gonna ask everybody questions about you.
You can tell them how I burnt my finger.
Sarah burnt her finger.
That's a story.
The end.
She burnt her finger while making us potates.
Deborah said they mentioned her name at the end of Goblet of Fire. Why didn't Harry recognize it then?
When
did?
they do it?
Who mentioned it?
Probably Dumbledore when he's giving orders to everyone. What chapter was that? This is the wrong book. Goblet. Here we go. All right. The parting of the ways, I assume, or the no, it wouldn't be the beginning. Edit this out. This is garbage.
This is.
Olivia.
The story of a girl.
Dumbledore and Mrs. Figg date.
I see.
That's cute.
My dear woman.
All I know is they bring up Remus Lupin and I get super stoked.
Why are you so close to me?
Because he was not in book 4 at all. Which is probably why it's my least favorite book. I'm
Foss,
not
go
judging
ahead.
you, Regine. You can love whatever you want.
What do you love, Goblet?
Goblet's your favorite book, which is fine. It's
Peace
not,
out, Goblet.
It's not my personal cup of tea.
No, I actually really enjoy the book, but I just don't enjoy the movie.
I like both.
I just think that the book is so much better.
Well, yeah,
It's always been.
But it's like a lot
a lot more.
more
A lot more better, gooder.
Yeah.
I hate the third movie.
Okay,
All
I
good
like it
shit.
as just a movie,
Okay,
but
here we
like,
go.
That's how I feel about Order of
can't
the
compare
Phoenix.
it to the book because
Because,
really
like,
frustrating.
Like Order of the Phoenix, it's a terrible book to movie adaptation.
But just the movie.
But just the
is
movie by
great.
itself is like beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
Poppy?
I heard your belly.
My stomach made a funny noise.
Alright, Sarah's back. Good, good, good. Sarah's back.
Okay, where in Goblet do they say her name? Whoever said that.
Yeah, I want
Can't
to know.
find it. She's looking.
Arabella Figg.
In Goblet?
Right, like at the end, I guess, like, you know, when Dumbledore's like, hey, you go recruit.
Oh, here we
blah, blah,
That will
Oh.
do. I'm sorry. That will do to be going on with the Dumbledore stepping between them once more. Now I have work for each of you. Fudge's attitude, though not unexpected, changes everything. Serious, I need you to set up at once. You are to alert Remus Lupin, Arabella Figg, Mundungus Fletcher, the old crowd. Lie low at Lupin's for a while. I'll contact you there.
I bet he just didn't know that what her name. Like, she's always
For
Mrs.
sure.
Figg.
Yeah,
You
he
know what
may
I mean?
not have known.
But
it.
also
I didn't even think
No,
of it.
we
He's
should have
so-
caught that. Did we say anything about that in the episode? Does anybody
I don't
remember?
know.
I don't think we did. I don't
We
know.
But
that.
we also know, like, you know what I
Shame,
mean?
shame, shame.
We're reading this as already knowing that she's part of this. We're like,
True,
Harry's
so maybe we
Harry's
just didn't think about it.
Harry's hearing it, but probably not even processing what he's hearing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was a pretty
Was it,
intense
what,
night.
that was one traumatic day.
Just
Holy,
a little bit.
holy, so many comments popped up.
Okay.
Lay us on the ground.
Lightning bolt questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
was
go,
showcased
start with
it.
Shannon.
Shannon!
Gamer Girl Claire's before that.
Do you want me to read
Yeah,
it?
Gamer Girl Claire is before that.
Do you want
Oh,
to read
really?
it to us?
Gosh.
There.
If you had the anxiety and pent-up frustration / anger / PTSD that Harry has, how would you release it in a positive way? That's hard.
I
don't always have the best ways of dealing with my anxiety.
I would read.
Reading helps.
I would read.
Actually, taking a bath
Oh.
helps
Or
a lot.
run.
I was gonna say
Working
shower.
I was gonna say work out. Like Harry could
I
use
work-
the summer to
yeah.
get pretty
Yeah.
buff.
Working out keeps me good. He
Taking,
could have gotten buff. So swole.
taking a bubble bath.
Leviosa.
Do you even Leviosa, bro? I have that
The
on
way
the
you
workout
said it was
tab.
so, you're like, you could have worked out. You could have been so buff.
Working out really helps my stress level.
It
when
does.
actually
That's why I do
it.
it every morning.
Yeah, I get
Watching Harry Potter helps me.
Harry
Taking-
should have watched
He
Harry
can't
Potter.
watch himself.
that. I mean, he can. Look in the mirror.
Taking a bubble bath or like using a bath bomb and just like relaxing.
I take really hot showers. That's what I do.
That's
And
really
other things
good.
that I'm not going to say on the
like
podcast.
just doing self-care things like doing a face mask or like
Yeah.
painting your nails, do that
You
stuff
can
like
just
that. Like
do
it
the-
really does help me.
You have to find out like what works for you. So like
Mm-hmm.
a bath might not help me, but it would help Megan. Or, running 8 miles might help someone, but it might not help me because I would be. I would sound like a Dementor after running 8 miles. I would have the death rattle.
My latest de-stress is like throw on an episode of Queer Eye, sit with a cup of tea, and have my cat in my lap and my wife at my side. That is my latest.
Or even
decompress.
There are times where like I'll talk to I'll call my best friend and I'll like have an hour conversation with her where like I'll just vent about everything, and at the end of it like she doesn't even have to say anything back to me. She doesn't have to give me any advice. Just knowing that like there's someone there listening, or even writing it all down. Then no one's ever gonna read it, but like I've written it, I've put it on paper, I've gotten it out of my head. Helps me a lot.
I've journaled and then ripped up the pages and it helps.
Or even journal, like we did this in high school where like we did this thing where we wrote on paper and then I'm like, we're just gonna burn it. So like you wrote it down and then like it's something that you don't even want other people to read and then you burn it so they can't even get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does help.
I still pray sometimes. It helps me a lot actually.
Olivia says, did Dumbledore and Mrs. Figg date?
Nah.
And I really liked
Did they eat a date together?
April replied and said, I doubt it because Dumbledore's gay, and I believe that Arabella Figg is a Mrs., so she must be married.
She is Mrs. Figg.
Yeah.
So there has
So,
I mean, she can do what she wants. There probably is a Mr. Figg.
Who's this Mr. Figg?
who's Mr.
Who is Mr. Figg?
Danny DeVito.
That would be cool. Shannon asks, would you guys rather be a squib but know the world exists and can't partake in it, or just be a muggle who knows nothing?
Muggle.
A squib.
I don't know. Ignorance is bliss.
I want to walk through Diagon Alley.
Yeah, just to be able to like be a part of it and even see it.
No,
but it
'cause
also would be like super FOMO. I'm just gonna use that
Yeah.
phrase again.
No, I'd rather be a Muggle.
Next question. Okay, so I'm actually I'm gonna skip this one that says like, what do you think that Dudley was thinking, because like it's in the next chapter where he like talks to
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, and I want to talk about it in that episode.
Yeah,
so-
Dursley.
Yeah, Dursley.
What did I say?
Weasley.
Dursley.
He talks to some witches and wizards.
So we're gonna hold off on that, but it's a good question, and there's an answer. Joe actually has answered that.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm excited.
Gabrielle, this is kind of personal, and nobody has to answer if you don't want to, but what would you see or hear if a Dementor was near you? Does anybody want to answer that?
Oh, I don't want to answer that.
Yeah, I don't really know off the top of my head.
I
Oh,
think
one's
it
actually-
would.
Is it something that's like it's something that's already happened to you, right?
Usually.
Is it?
I mean,
I think it
doesn't-
is
I
because
think
it's everything
is.
Harry. It's everything that Harry's already experienced.
I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, it's the horrors of your past.
Yeah.
I'll say it was probably my grandma dying, like because I was with her. Like, she came home on a Monday and she died that Wednesday, and I was there when she came home, and then I was there all day Tuesday and slept over Wednesday, and I was there. So it was probably like that.
It would take me a long time to like think about it. I don't have an answer off the top of my head right now. Samantha asks, where would you hide from the Dursleys if you were Harry during this summer?
I would honestly walk the streets like he did.
Yeah.
Like that's how he's
Dude,
getting, like venting right now.
He's got an invisibility cloak. If you want to watch the news, hide under that sucker
Dude,
and watch
right?
the news.
For real.
You're smart.
I know, that's why I'm a Ravenclaw.
I
Harry
probably
is
would
not.
just be a hermit
I would
and
be
chill in
outside.
my room.
I would be wherever it's coolest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside probably.
Okay, Molly asks, we know Dumbledore.
Hold on.
Yes.
Think about if you went to like the local swimming pool or something with the invisibility cloak, but he's also like still soaking wet, so all you see is like
Water
wet
drops.
footprints or like wet capeness,
That
like
would be
walking
really
the
fun.
capeness. Yeah.
Molly asks, we know Dumbledore kept Harry in the dark because he felt it would be for the greater good. Do you think it was actually the right call?
No.
This is a hard no
That's
for me.
That's a yes and a no for me.
I think with some, here's the thing that's like the like edge of the sword kind of thing, where, you know, if things didn't happen the way they happened, I don't think the end of result would be what it was.
Right.
I think that unfortunately, you know, all the things that Harry, like, that happened to Harry turned him into the man that he was when he went to face Voldemort and do all those things. So I think things are necessary, like as much as it sucks. Like, it's all the things that he's gone through sucks and it's horrible. But I don't think he would have made the sacrifices that he made. You know what I mean?
Meg and I. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Meg and I literally discussed this like the other day, but like we think maybe Dumbledore should have been like, look, this is my fear, so like we need to maybe like I'm not just abandoning you, but like we need to have some space because I don't know X, Y, and Z.
Like,
like-
don't keep him in the dark, but don't keep him in the loop, kind of like that sort of thing, where just be like,
Tell him why.
I'm not mad at you. I don't want to not, like, it's not that I don't want to talk to you, but I can't right now, so respect that, please.
But
Just
is
so
that,
that, like, Harry's aware that there's a reason, and he may not need to know the reason why, and Dumbledore doesn't really even need to explain it, but to just, like, ease Harry's mind and be like, Dumbledore has a reason for this. That's okay. I get it.
I can understand why you'd say that and all of that, but at the same time, like, if I was in that situation, it would still bother me, and I'd want to know more, and I'd want to, like, I would
He
be
would go
pissed
out,
off.
and maybe he thinks that he would go out and be a little bit of a flighty, like serious, and to try and figure things out. But I get what you're saying. And as adults, you know, we have to go through our lives and, you know, help if you have a child or if you're in a profession with children and you have to make decisions for them because they are children, and hopefully you're doing what you think is right at that time. Now, when we see Dumbledore, yeah, we can point fingers all we want because we've read the series and we know the outcomes and we know the details, but given right now, I think everybody needs to take a bit of a chill on Dumbledore because he was doing what he thought would be best for Harry. He had Harry's intentions at heart the entire time, and I think people give him a hard time, like, well, you should have done this, you should have done this. Yeah, but we can say that about everything we do in our lives.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, and it just...
If you think about it,
it just kind of
at
like...
the end of the day,
yes and
Dumbledore is human, and no one's perfect, and life does not come with a manual being like, this is what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So like Tiffany's saying, you know, he's thinking like what's best for him and for Harry is how he's dealing with it. And maybe he would have gone back and done things differently, but
Maybe if
you can't go in the past, but they have time turners.
Maybe if he would have just said, trust me.
That's what I'm.
But
that's
Harry
what I'm
does.
saying.
I mean, and I think he's
Yeah.
struggling with that.
Say
as
nothing
well.
but, like, just trust me. And
What-
I think Harry would have maybe been respectful of that.
What bothers me with Dumbledore in this moment is that in my mind, there's no way he doesn't know that Harry is affected by seeing Cedric get killed. And, like, I know that there's not really a lot of talk about mental health in the Harry Potter books, unfortunately, even though there are parallels to it throughout the series. But, like, you would think that, especially, like, knowing what Dumbledore has gone through in his past, that there's gonna be anxiety and there's gonna be PTSD, and that this is not the correct reaction, and it's gonna hurt Harry mentally in the moment. I just like can't believe that Dumbledore, as the adult that he is and the things that he experienced and went through, wouldn't have been like, oh wow, I bet you Harry is gonna have serious PTSD from watching his classmate die in front of Voldemort and seeing his biggest fear come back to like strength.
Maybe he just didn't know how to deal with it.
I think part of that.
Hello.
I think part of that is though, Dumbledore has gone through where he has lost his sister. You know what I mean? So he's gone through all of this, and he doesn't want to think of Harry because he helped raise his sister and do all of those things. So like he's helped, not that he helped raise Harry, but like he is a big important part of Harry's life. And I think selfishly he doesn't want to get too involved because he knows how much losing his sister affected him and hurt him.
Yeah.
And he knows that, I think at this point he knows that Harry has to die, or if he doesn't know 100%, he's like 99% sure that he's gonna have to die.
His guesses are usually correct.
And he doesn't want to have to feel that way again with Harry, so he's trying to distance himself as well. I think is part
Yeah,
of
but
it.
it's also like, so you're protecting your feelings.
It's
Well, we
yeah,
all
but
know
he's
that
human.
Dumbledore is self-preservating.
Right.
That's just who he is. It's
Nobody's
just a lot
perfect.
of- He's. I mean,
It's a lot to talk about.
We can say it was okay, and we can say it was completely wrong. It's literally both.
Yeah.
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 What do you think Dumbledore was doing during the summer?
None your business. I don't know. Working for the Order, probably trying to get everything to do with the Giants, everything to do with any other kind of, maybe talking to goblins.
A lot of
things like
planning.
this. Yeah.
A lot of planning.
Probably a lot of Horcrux things and all that jazz.
he's doing
And
a lot
James.
of the Order of the Phoenix stuff. And getting the old group
Prep.
back together and war prep, trying to recruit
Getting the gang back together.
Yep.
I'm going to do 2 more and then we're going to cut it off and go to the fan story.
Okay.
If you were the serious figure in a troubled teen's life, what kind of support
Sirius
would you
Black?
give them?
Okay.
Yes.
Sirius
Black.
I'm a serious figure. Okay. Read it again.
If you were the Sirius Black figure in a troubled teen's life, what kind of support would you give them?
Talk to them.
I would try to get him to be like with me.
Vent.
I sound awful. Sorry, but that's what I would try to do. Is like you need like I always say, the number one thing in any relationship, whether it's like a romantic one or a friendship or like a guardian kid situation, like you need to communicate, and I think that helps, with anxiety and all the things he's going through, and he just needs to talk to him more and like screw what other people say.
Sirius also is one of those like happy-go-lucky type of people that like doesn't necessarily think about anxiety or anything, because like I don't think that he really suffers from those things as much. So like I just think that he just doesn't necessarily think of those things, and like he is like the most out of the trio and everything. Like he's definitely the most helpful in Harry's mind, like saying things that he's like not just trying to tantalize him, but like, or tease him with like information. He's just saying like, trust us, like it's okay, like we're gonna get you as soon as we can or whatever. So
Yeah.
Okay, last one is somebody asked what my new tattoo was, so I was gonna tell
Of
Oh my
course.
God.
Jeez.
So I got it's like in a diamond. It's super stylized, and I'll post a picture of it in the group. It's like super swollen right now.
Yeah,
But it's
touching
the
it so much.
Sorry, it's warm.
Don't touch it.
But it's the viaduct in Scotland that the train goes over, the Hogwarts Express, and then there's the flying car like above it. And I love it. It's
pretty cool.
adorable. It's like all line art. It's really cute.
It's really cute.
That's awesome.
Right.
Fan story. Alright, this one comes from Lexi. Hey friends, finally sending in my Potter story after listening for a couple years. I was hoping to have this read on the podcast at some point during Order of the Phoenix, because my story I think best relates to the themes of the book. Here it goes. I'm sorry it's a little long.
Don't apologize.
No, don't. My name is Lexi. I'm a proud Ravenclaw surrounded by loved ones who are nearly all Slytherins. I grew up listening to my mom reading my brother and me the Harry Potter books every night before bed. Before the releases of each movie, we would do a reread of all the books up until the current movie. I remember my dad thinking it was funny to quote Voldemort in Sorcerer's Stone, walking around saying, "See what I have become. See what I must do to survive."
Oh my gosh.
Insert Foley voice. You're welcome. Harry Potter has always been not just a series of books, but a part of my life. Starting middle school, I developed depression. It has been consistent since then, but I had it managed. Harry Potter kept me sane, and in times when my depression was really bad, I would turn to the books or movies. In 2016, I was confused about what I wanted to do with my life. I decided I had been working as an EMT and really liked the medical field. I really felt this was the best fit for me. I was the top of my class throughout nursing school and into my last semester. My depression worsened during school, and I developed anxiety, but pushed through. During this last semester, I was kicked out of my nursing program after being accused of a HIPAA violation, confidentiality issue for those who don't know, which, come to find out, was not a violation at all. It also was reported to my job at the time, causing me to lose my job.
gosh.
I was in shock. I had finally hit rock bottom. I made an attempt to take my own life. I took too many pills. I contemplated taking a lot more, but something held me back. I fell asleep. Luckily, my boyfriend came home and was concerned about me as I had not been answering my phone. He brought me to my dad's, where I broke down further and had to admit to my dad what I did. They took me to the ER and ended up being placed in an intensive outpatient therapy program for months. During this time, I found your podcast after my mom suggested I listen to it to bring me back to my Harry Potter roots. I was instantly hooked and started binge listening. The podcast gave me something to take my mind off of my depression, and no exaggeration, was one of the main factors in my recovery.
Oh, wow.
You promote kindness, perseverance, happiness, and the importance of mental health. You do not tolerate negativity and have truly created a safe and incredible environment like I've never seen. I asked for this to be read during Order of the Phoenix because after my suicide attempt, I reread the books again and realized that I had a new connection to the book that I hadn't had before. I felt the loneliness of Harry and understood more than ever what Dementors really represented. I felt such a connection to Harry when he broke down in Dumbledore's office after Sirius died and said that he just didn't want to do it anymore. But Harry pushed through, and so did I. If you're wondering, I ended up finishing nursing school and passing my NCLEX in 75 questions.
I've never heard anyone say it like that.
Dude. What is it?
They call it the NCLEX.
Oh, I didn't know.
And I'm like, wait, what are you reading?
And now work as an ER nurse in the busiest ER in the state of Wisconsin.
Hold on. I just want to congratulate you because that's amazing. And hopefully I can gain some of your awesomeness when I do that. So that's amazing.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
congratulations.
Honestly. I persevered and showed everyone who said I couldn't that I could. I go to work every day and am able not only help the sick, but am able to help those coming in with suicidal thoughts or actions just as I had. For anyone struggling with depression, anxiety, or suicidal thoughts, or any other mental illness for that matter, you are not alone. If we can take anything from Swish and Flick, it's that there is always someone there, even when you feel like you're all alone. Ladies, you will never know how much you've changed my life, but I hope you understand that I am just one of many people. Sarah.
I just swallowed a cough drop. Hole. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
But I hope you understand that I am.
Reread that paragraph.
Ladies, you will never know how much you have changed my life, but I hope you understand that I am just one of many people who owe their mental health and sanity to you. You are truly beautiful humans. For anyone who's hurting, just remember, happiness can be found in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light.
Oh my goodness. Had me in tears, giving me the feels, Lexi. Thank you so much for your story. Hearing those things, honestly, like, it's still, like, that's the best part about this podcast. Like, talking with all of you about one of my favorite things, but hearing how this podcast has helped other people, that will forever be my favorite. Like, every time we get a story like this, it's always the absolute best. And I am so happy that you're here.
Yeah, like, I don't have words except for, like, thank you for still being here, thank you for
Pushing through.
I love that you found this connection and it made you feel safe and like you could do it, and I'm glad you did. Like, congratulations, that's awesome.
Yeah, gosh.
On lots of levels.
Yeah, like, you're a very strong human being and you're a beautiful human being. So keep at it.
Yeah. We just, like, just hearing that, hearing from other people that we promote kindness, perseverance, happiness, and the importance of mental health, we've done our job. And we didn't even know it was our job to do.
Yeah.
Right.
I always like to say I'm the person that, like, I love sad things, but I don't like sad people. And so I try to, like, make jokes so they'll laugh. So when I hear stuff like this, like, it makes me feel better it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm helping other people. Not just me, we all are. And that, you know, we're promoting, like, we don't like negativity, so we're promoting all this great stuff. So thank you. And literally, it's awesome that you finished nursing school. It's awesome that you
Crushed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're working in the ED, and that's not an easy thing to do.
No,
I've
it's
been
not.
I've been in an ED before working, so that's awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, you rock.
You're awesome.
Social media, you.
Oh yeah, it is me next, isn't it? You can follow us on Facebook at Swish and Flick Podcast, and also on Twitter and Instagram at Swish Flickcast. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, which is where we did this episode live. So thank you to everybody who was here and listened. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/SwishFlickcast. And on top of like all of the things that we get to do thanks to Patreon in terms of like upgrading technology, making sure that the podcasts stay up on iTunes and Podbean, running our store, getting merch, doing giveaways, all that kind of stuff. We also really want to donate some of that money towards like the fires in Australia. We are going to be making a donation from us and from Patreon to the Irwin Foundation.
I can't remember the exact name, but it's a foundation from the Irwins. I believe it was started in 2002. I just started following them on the Twitter.
But they've taken in tens of thousands of animals.
I think they've received their, like, the foundation itself received their, like, 90,000 animals. Wildlife Warriors.
Yeah, Wildlife Warriors. So we're going to make a donation to them for all of the work that they've been doing with the bushfires. It's also going to help us out with running this fundraiser for the trans community. Just like donating to different LGBT foundations and whatnot. So like, thank you guys so much for helping us be able to give back to the community in so many different ways.
So this week, the Wildlife Warriors treated their 90,000th patient. I'm gonna show people on YouTube what this patient looks like because this
Isn't it a bat?
It's a flying fox. This is what your money's gonna go towards if you're a patron.
Yeah, so I mean, with all of the fires going on in Australia, it's absolutely devastating. All of the wildlife that we're losing, and it's important to us, and it's important to the earth, and it means a lot to us. So anyway, if you want to help contribute to those things, we're gonna post, like, I need to make a page on our website that lists out all of the places that we've donated so that you guys can see where the money is going to. It's really important to us. We you know,
do good.
yeah, we just want to do some good. So,
Well, we didn't think that we were gonna be would get this big.
right,
So
for sure. I mean, 1,000%.
I feel like it's only
Fair.
only
Only
right to
right,
just to give it back.
right.
It's very helpful.
So yeah, so you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/SwishFlickcast. And also, if you want to make sure that you're subscribed to us on iTunes, that would be awesome. And also, if you haven't, leave us a review, because they mean a lot, and they get more people to listen and join the community and be a part of the Swish community. So yeah, that would be helpful.
Tell your friends.
Spread that light.
And also, you can check out our website at swishflickcast.com to see all of our merchandise, and then also bios and news, what we're up to, all of that fun stuff.
Yep. Okay. You can find me on Twitter at tiffswish_flick. I tweet a lot more than just Potter stuff, though, so if you don't like sports or video games,
Or Star Wars.
or Star Wars, yeah. But as of this episode, I'm ending my Christmas break. Gonna be going back to work and getting back into the routine of just kind of like everyday life. And I've been making crock-pot dinners every week, and I've been trying new recipes, which has been really fun for me because I really don't like anything to do with the kitchen except eating food that's made for me. So now I'm making food.
Is that your New Year's resolution?
No, I've been doing it though.
Nice.
I've been doing it for like a couple months now.
Couple months.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Well, it is
Seriously.
crock pot.
Still, like,
Still,
we're
I
still
mean-
making food. Like, I don't know how to do that.
I had to bring out measuring spoons, so that's
Whoa,
pretty
OMG.
much cooking, right?
If I didn't have Mag, dude.
Well, and also, Katie and I just got a stove.
Yeah,
we've
huzzah!
been living without a stove since
September.
August.
Yeah, August.
So yeah, we finally have one. It's not hooked up yet, but it will be
Cook
this
some
week.
stuff.
So that's exciting.
Make
You
me
can
more than one cookie at a time.
you can follow Katie and I on Twitter and Instagram and on YouTube at the Petrus Family.
If you guys want to see a really cool wedding that we're working on coming up in a week, we'll post that on our Whimsy Creative Design Instagram too. So
And probably on the Petrus Family.
that's Potter related.
It's Potter related, and we've done a ton of really cool stuff for it, and I'm excited to share it.
You're awesome.
And also, if you guys like Friends, the show,
Friends.
Friends.
It's F.R.I.E.
Okay.
S.
D. S.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Anyway, we are more than halfway through season 1, and
You're still on season 1. I
Do
feel
you
like.
yeah,
do you
Oh,
still
wow.
have your favorite characters being the same people?
no.
Yeah.
Meg's just changed. Mine's the same.
Last episode, mine changed to Chandler.
What
That's
was
right.
the last episode?
It was the one with 2 parts.
Tell me what happened. Is
It was
what
like
she's
the-
asking.
So it's the first one that's like
Sorry,
2
friends.
episodes
Friends
long.
spoilers. Friends spoilers. It's off Netflix, so I don't know when you're gonna watch it.
It's the one that is like 2 episodes long,
Okay.
and
Not giving any information. The one with 2 parts. Okay, so there's 2 episodes. What happens in them?
She's getting to it.
Rachel and Monica commit insurance fraud,
Oh, at the doctor's
Yes.
office.
and then like the ER doctors make an appearance.
Yeah,
George
they're
Clooney and Noah Wiley,
Yeah.
George.
and then
George Clooney.
Joey is dating Phoebe's twin,
Ursula.
Mhm.
Ursula.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he's like surprised that like they have the same birthday.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where we're
So
at.
now
But
your favorite's Chandler.
I enjoy Chandler and Phoebe a lot.
What did Chandler do in this episode?
I don't know.
I'm trying to
I-
remember like
Oh,
what
that's
happened.
also the one that Marcel ate Scrabble tiles and
Oh.
Chandler-
Oh yeah,
Shit,
and
they
he's
said
worried.
that they
And he's like,
found-
he's trying to spell monkey.
Yeah.
And he's trying like isn't Ross like worried about being a dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
they're like, look at how you were like concerned about this monkey. You're gonna be a great dad.
yeah.
pretty
Oh my
much.
god, I hate Marcel. But that's
I
another
know.
conversation.
I don't particularly care for
cannot
him
stand
either.
Marcel. I'm like, so when is this monkey gonna be gone? Okay, thanks.
So is yours?
But yeah, it's
favorite
called
still
Friends
Chandler?
Watching Friends. Yeah, Katie
I
still
love
loves
Chandler.
Chandler.
He has a direct connection to my funny bone.
I mean, I am Chandler. Like, I would say like I'm 70% Chandler, and then I'm a little bit Monica, Phoebe, and Joey's the rest of me.
I feel that too.
Yeah.
It's really hard to pick a favorite if I'm being honest. Like, I started with a pretty strong, like, yeah, I really like Ross. And then now it's just kind of like, I don't really have a favorite, but if I had to pick one, I think I would say Chandler right now.
That's because he's the best.
So,
There's just times where like there's things that Chandler says that like I feel like he's taking the words out of my mouth. It's
he's
accurate.
funny.
He's a funny guy.
And yeah, and then our friend Chrissy does it with us, and she's like a super fan, like knows everything, about everyone at all times.
Mhm.
So she's like as into Friends as we are into Harry Potter.
Does she have trouble not spoiling it?
Sometimes there are
good.
like some things where she's like, so this is the first time we see blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, so they come back. And she's like, oh shoot.
That's something I would do.
But like big things, no. But I mean, it's really hard to avoid some spoilers. But
Well, yeah. Especially with a show that's been around for so long.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm doing my best.
I just
Is that your part too?
Anything you want to add?
You could follow me on Instagram at O'Malley with 3 H's, and then I'm just soaking up my break, doing a lot of working and podcast stuff before I have to go back to school.
I'm trying to find your voice.
Yeah, and it's been days,
been
so I
lost.
don't know. I don't know when it's ever coming back.
Maybe it won't.
And then I will say, so I started watching. Well, I finished watching The Witcher on Netflix, and I thoroughly.
Don't say anything about it.
I'm not going to.
I
I don't
wanna
know.
watch it.
I didn't know anything going in. I've never played the video game because I'm not a video game player, and
But
I'm not what.
you've been playing a game recently.
Oh my gosh, I'll talk about it.
I'll let you get to it though.
And I didn't read the books, but I might part of me wants to read the books and part of me just wants to watch the show and let it be its own thing, but I don't know. But I've thoroughly enjoyed watching the show.
Good.
Like, to the point where I, like, am already watching it again, and it's been, like, not even a week since I even started, like, the first go-around.
Yeah.
I really, really like it, and I, like, can't wait. I literally was like, I don't understand why season 2's not here, and season 1 just came out, like, 2 weeks ago, or not even. But I really liked it.
Got a long time to wait.
I know. Literally, though, I know.
Speaking of TV really quick, I just want to chime in and say that we just started watching the show You. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not done with season 1 yet. I have one.
Is that a
episode
Tiffany
left.
show?
No.
It's suspenseful.
You might enjoy it.
It will make you absolutely despise social media.
It was on.
Jeez.
But it's really good.
I'm sorry, the queen just arrived.
Mom, you should pop in over here because we're live on YouTube.
You look
So
awesome.
my mom's family, they're celebrating Women's Christmas,
You look awesome.
which is
You
typically
look great.
no. Come like stand behind
Like
here.
right here.
Can you?
So
Can you get through
everyone's getting dressed up and celebrating it at my cousin or my aunt's house. So my mom got all dressed.
Everyone bow to the queen.
Can you see her?
Oh my.
It's lagging.
It's,
It's
of course, it's lagging.
Um,
So it's typically celebrated in
Here we go.
Ireland on the 6th of January, but they're celebrating it today. So she's going to that all dressed up.
You're amazing.
It's so funny. So The Witcher was really good. You was really good. The first season was on Lifetime. Season 2 just came out on Netflix. I haven't finished season 1 yet.
Of who?
Of
We're
You.
like halfway through season 1 and it's
It was
really
on
great.
Lifetime?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not watching it.
It's genuinely, you might, Timmy, you might actually
so.
really
You
like.
might really
What I
like
mean
it.
by that, it's like it's not like Game of Thrones where like there's things in it you don't want to watch, so you might want to watch it.
Yeah.
But I also have been playing with a Tamagotchi on my phone.
She's like showing me all these things
It's
that her
just so
Tamagotchi can do.
interesting.
And then the next day she was like, "Have you seen my Tamagotchi?" I'm like, "Yes, you made me watch
No,
it."
so my friend had surgery, and my friend Jen had surgery. So my other friend Joelle and I went to the hospital, like with her parents and her husband. And so while we were like waiting, because it's like hours of waiting to like for the surgery and then like recovery and then her room, and she's like, here, she showed me her Tamagotchi thing. I was like, I need this app, and then downloaded it.
No, I
And I've
haven't
been playing it
do
for
I
it.
know, now I won't have time.
I love Tamagotchis.
I need to show you.
My
Watch
niece has got Tamagotchis for Christmas, like the
the
like
real,
the
like
real
the ones from.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Tell your Tamagotchi to be quiet.
I know that's the
Yeah, for
annoying
real.
thing. Like it plays like ads that are loud, but when we were talking about like having Tamagotchis as kids, and like I had a neighbor that was an only child, so she had like 7 Tamagotchis, and I don't even know if I had one. But
That's hilarious.
yeah, but go ahead. We can end this now. We're done.
Yeah, well, we've got just extra voices today. All right, tis all.
Yep.
That's all, folks.
Welcome to a new book. Get ready. It's gonna be sad.
Seriously sad.
Seriously sad.
Oh.
That's for
By the end of it, he's not sad anymore.
Sarah.
wow. I literally have nothing else to say except that concludes this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and don't let the muggles get you down. First of all, who do you think you...
I love Sirius though, so
Yeah, sure.
I do. Yeah.
They're on here.
We're live on the internet.
Is my hair on?
Yeah. No, you look good.
Awesome.
I had to do it myself.
Well, you look great.
Alright, ciao.
It's.
Have fun.
Deuces.
I will say, guys, so
Okay.
my mom's doing this, going to my aunt's for Women's Christmas. Obviously, I'm not going, and none of my other siblings. My sister is not going, and Tiffany's not going. But, like, we even pulled out my mom's wedding dress to see if she was, like, could still fit into it, and, like, go. So next year, I think she's going to wear her wedding dress.
Guys, thanks for joining us on the live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun live time today. So, thank you for coming.
Happy Swishmas.
Happy Swishmas.
Merry Swishmas.
Yes, Merry
Yeah, Merry
Swishmas.
Swishmas.
It's been real.
Special
Happy
thanks to our buddies Regina and Kelly for helping out.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Been great.
No special thanks to me slaving over a hot stove for hours.
Special thanks to Sarah for the sweet decorations and the delicious dinner that she made us.
Yeah.
Was yummy.
Twas. And I think we're gonna have some dessert.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully it tastes good. I don't know. I'm confident in my cooking. I'm
You
not
are
confident
such
in
a
my
creep.
baking.
Is that the lie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, turn it off.
We love you guys.
That's
Bye.
me.
Oh no, shut it off.
We're seeing
You gotta
the
shut
end
it
of the
off.
stream, please.
Goodbye.
Bye.
How do I
We don't know how to end it. It's gonna be weird. It's
There.
gonna be weird for a
It's
second.
gonna be weird.
On my eyes.